reported by Adam Bowler, a key envoy from the Trump administration. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
All right, this is the first day of spring, but Mother Nature didn't get the message. Temperatures dropping this afternoon, in fact, freezing in parts of the metro tonight. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That comes your way at 12:05. This is new at noon. A man now facing vehicular homicide charges in the death of a City of Cumming worker.
43-year-old Kevin Turner of Dawsonville has turned himself in to Forsyth County authorities for the death of 44-year-old Crystal Sawyer. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office says Sawyer, a clerk for Cummings Utilities Division, was in the department's parking lot when she was hit by a truck allegedly driven by Turner. He has since bonded out of the Forsyth County Jail. Sawyer had been with the city since 2020. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Friends and family gathering tonight to remember the life of a Westminster school teacher whose body was recently recovered from Lake Oconee. Gary Jones disappeared while boating with his fiancée, Joycelyn Wilson. Her body was found the day after they went missing. Jones wasn't discovered until a month later. His celebration of life is tonight from 5 until 8 in Riverdale. There'll be a homegoing celebration tomorrow morning at 11 at Ebenezer Baptist Church in South Fulton. The Georgia Bulldogs looking to change history as they begin play in the NCAA tournament today.
It's been 10 years since the Dogs last appeared in the Big Dance and more than 2 decades since they last won a game. Their opponent, Gonzaga, has been to 9 straight Sweet 16s. Bulldogs coach Mike White says Georgia should be prepared after the grind of a tough SEC schedule.
You've got to be resilient in situations like this against really good teams on the big stage because adversities are coming.
While lacking tournament experience, Georgia has faced 16 NCAA tournament teams since the start of January. Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
All right, our pregame starting this afternoon at 4:05, tip-off 4:35 right here on your home of the Georgia Bulldogs. President Trump plans to sign an executive order calling for the shutdown of the Education Department today. Reporter Willie James Inman says key functions, of the department will not be impacted by today's action, though.
A White House official pointed out student loans, assistance to school districts for low-income families and individuals with disabilities. Those assistance programs will still continue to be handled by the Department of Education. The president isn't eliminating that today.
And congressional approval is still needed, though, to shut down the agency altogether. All right, if you have young kids in the house and Benadryl, then you want to listen up. More than 2,000 bottles of liquid Benadryl are being recalled today because of a lack of child-resistant packaging. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the recalled bottles were sold on Amazon from July of 2023 through October of this year. There have been no reports so far of any poisoning. A new study of those new popular weight loss drugs is out today, and Michael George has the new information.
A new study suggests popular weight loss drugs do not cause an increase in suicidal thoughts. A study published in JAMA looked at concerns that the drugs, often referred to as GLP-1 drugs, could be linked to a small increase in suicidal behavior, but research showed that's unlikely to be the case.
Now, use of these drugs has exploded in recent years. The number one issue that voters cared about when they elected President Trump to a second term was the economy. The Fed making a decision to keep interest rates where they are. And what's the impact of the tariffs? ABC's Rebecca Jarvis breaking it down.
The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation analysis shows that tariffs would cost households an average of about $1,000, $72 more, making everything from your groceries, your fresh fruits, your vegetables, your electronics and toys more expensive. But it's important to note the Fed doesn't expect tariffs to have a long-lasting inflation impact. The Fed chair also noted that a recession is unlikely.
And a new jobs report is out today. The number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits up slightly. The Labor Department says it received 223,000 initial requests in the week ending March 15th, and that's about what they were expecting. All right, let's take a look at the markets, see how your investments are working. We're in the green. The Dow's up 171 at 42,135, so the Dow's up almost 0.5%. NASDAQ's up slightly, so is the S&P. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center with a look at your roads.
Still watching that brake light battle through northern Gwinnett County. Sabrina, on I-85 southbound and starting right around Hamilton Mill Road south of the Chateau Alana area. You got a couple of right lanes blocked right around Buford Drive, exit 115, the Mall of Georgia. That's construction. You can use Highway 124 or 985 southbound. Just found a new construction zone heading between McDonough and Locust Grove. 75 southbound before Bill Gardner Parkway, exit 212. That is left lane lane construction. You're on and off the brakes as you make your way down out of Stockbridge. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official plumber of Atlanta Homes. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Mostly cloudy, breezy, and chilly today. That northwest wind gusting 35 miles per hour, pulling in the cold air. Afternoon temperatures only in the upper 40s to low 50s, sliding to the low to mid 30s for tomorrow morning. A freeze warning in effect for the northwest counties, and then a frost advisory for southeast metro Atlanta. For tomorrow, sunny skies, high 63. Warming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny. Morning lows in the 40s, daytime highs in the mid 70s. Rain showers return on Monday.
We have clear skies and 53 degrees in Midtown. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program. If you're in the state of Georgia, you need to text ENGAGE to 33777. Call the Lieutenant Governor and get him on the side of killing the speed cameras in your state. The rest of you, text ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast. Follow me on social media. You should be following me on Instagram as I put up pictures from making bacon jam last night. I'm making cheeseburger sliders for friends tonight on the griddle. Might even put up a recipe. Now, we got to begin with the judges. I want to give you 3 headlines, all of them from the New York Times. Headline number 1, judges fear for their safety amid a wave of threats. Headline number 2, how Trump is trying to consolidate power over courts, Congress, and more. Headline number 3, Trump's judicial defiance is new to the autocrat playbook, experts say. Experts say. You know, experts say a lot of times, and progressives love to trot out any expert who will disagree with Donald Trump. I distinctly remember a bunch of intelligence foreign policy experts telling us that Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't a real thing. I gotta say something here. You gotta listen to the whole thing. When Joe Biden was president of the United States, a man attempted to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. This came after the end of Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs versus Jackson's women's health case. The man attempted to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. There is a federal law on the books. The federal law prohibits protests outside the homes of federal judges, not as a matter of free speech. It's a matter of intimidating the judges. So it is a perfectly constitutional law. You do not want protesters in private neighborhoods harassing federal judges with matters before those judges as a way to intimidate the judicial system. Merrick Garland and the Biden Justice Department did nothing. It took a man attempting to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh for them to actually maybe consider we should do something different, and still they didn't stop the protesters who were increasingly antagonistic outside the homes of conservative Supreme Court justices. Instead, what the left did was try to systematically undermine the Supreme Court and claim that the Supreme Court was somehow corrupted by the presence of Sam Alito, whose wife flew an upside-down American flag. And notice just a few weeks ago, federal employees hoisted an upside-down American flag at El Capitan at Yosemite. And no, this was heroic. The federal employees hoisting the flag upside down was heroic. Sam Alito's wife putting one on their flagpole was actually a sign that Sam Alito needed to be fired from the Supreme Court. Justice Thomas having wealthy friends who take him on trips, just terrible corruption. He needs to go. Here is the bottom line, and I'll just get this out of the way. You people on the left who are complaining about threats to judges, it's been going on for some time, and you did not care a single little bit about it as long as it was happening to conservative judges. So guess what? Because you didn't care, surprise, a lot of people on the right don't care now that it's happening to your judges in lower courts. If you want to be intellectually honest and consistent, you should be, but you guys don't want to be. You're only upset with progressive judges getting threatened, and so guess what? A large segment of this population says, well, that's political opportunism on their side, so I'm not going to really care. It's like January 6th. I had some neurotic white woman come after me on social media last night for playing down January 6th. Oh, January 6th, the worst thing ever. You people did not say jack when America was being burned down by progressive activists in the summer of 2020, but you're all butthurt over January 6th when the summer riot season of 2020 caused more economic damage to the United States than what happened on January 6th. Oh, but it was democracy. It's a threat to democracy. It was small businesses across America being burned down in the summer of 2020, and you didn't care about your neighbors. And so guess what? Donald Trump won the popular vote. But January 6th, nobody gives a damn about January 6th. They give a damn about the economy and inflation and their families and their lives, and you chose not to care about them, but now you're upset about illegal aliens being deported. Oh, the horror of the illegal aliens, but screw the neighbor who lost his job in Biden's economy because CNN told you it's the best economy ever. I'm sorry, but a lot of people aren't going to care that you're upset now about people being deported from the country because you chose to keep your mouth shut when it was the other side. You know who David Delaney is? If you're progressive, I bet you don't know who David Delaney is. David Delaney exposed the horrors of Planned Parenthood in California. You know what? They prosecuted him for it. He's an undercover reporter, and they prosecuted him for exposing the harvesting and selling of body parts. And you didn't care. You're a pro-choice person, and so you said nothing. And now you're upset about Donald Trump harassing reporters? Well, maybe you should have cared then. And then there's the doctor in Austin, Texas, whose name escapes me all of a sudden, who was a whistleblower. He was a whistleblower who exposed that in Texas, a hospital system prohibited by law from doing so was performing trans operations on minors and giving out trans drugs so that minors, people under the age of 18, could transition. The state said no, the hospital did it. He blew the whistle, and the Biden administration prosecuted him. In fact, the lead prosecutor was recused from the case because she didn't have a law license, and yet they went after this guy anyway. And you people on the left said nothing. You were silent time and time again, and now you want everyone to stand up and be outraged with you over threats to judges? Well, you should have done it then. Maybe you're learning your lesson. I myself, my friends, wrote a piece today on anti-Semitism, and I highlighted people on the right who are elevating anti-Semites, from Tucker Carlson to Candace Owens to people at Turning Point USA. And I've had multiple people say, oh, you're both sidesing it, Erickson. No, I believe anti-Semitism is bad, and when it happens on my side, I should speak out. And I criticize the people who stormed into the Capitol and damaged property on January 6th, and I criticize people who are burning up America in 2020. And I will just note the abundant silence of people on the left during the summer riot season of 2020. In fact, the willing justifications of it on news networks like CNN, where it was fiery but mostly peaceful. I just have a hard time listening to these neurotic white women of the left scream, January 6th, January 6th, when you didn't say jack about those riots. You didn't say jack about kids being shut out of schools. In fact, you want kids to still be masked up and not in school to stop the spread of COVID. You were fine with 15 days to stop the spread, and so was I. But then you were fine with 365 days to stop the spread, and when I wasn't, you thought I was a bad person. So, pardon me, you'll have to forgive me for not being worked up about people on the right who just refuse to speak out now, because you had many opportunities to say this is not good. when Joe Biden was president, when the Democrats were in charge, and you couldn't lift a finger to show justice and mercy to the people opposite you. You did not care they were rounding up grandmothers in wheelchairs and throwing them in the jail for praying outside abortion clinics. So why do you think people on the right are going to be upset now that they're deporting illegal aliens tied to gangs? You did not care one whit when they were rounding up a journalist and throwing him in jail and prosecuting him for exposing Planned Parenthood. So why should we care now with journalists across America getting harassed who are on the left? You didn't care a bit when they were harassing Supreme Court justices and attempting to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh, and now you're upset about lower court judges. Guess what? Nobody cares because you didn't care. You started it. Precedents matter. I say it all the time. Precedents matter. I'm probably the only person in conservative talk radio willing to criticize my own side on a regular basis, but you'll have to forgive me for being uninterested at this point to placate the desires of neurotic, crazy white women on the left who think that everybody's got to stand up and pound their chests over things that they are outraged about. When other people get outraged about things, they try to find ways to defend it. You want me to stand up and be outraged about gangbangers from Venezuela being deported from the country without due process? Well, you know what? You should have said something sooner when it wasn't on your side. Do I think that Donald Trump could possibly move so fast it blows up in his face? Yeah, you know, they tried to deport a guy in Chicago, turned out to be an American citizen. He's going to sue and get a lot of money now. But the neurotic white woman last night, she's like, they deported a child with cancer because her parents were illegal aliens. It's like, what? You think they should have separated her from the parents? They kept the family together. Yeah, do I think Trump could have replaced him? Yeah, there's a story out today. It appears that someone with legitimate need for asylum in this country from Venezuela might have, without due process, despite his asylum claim pending, been thrown in jail in El Salvador and got out of this country. That's going to be a problem for Donald Trump. They can move so fast, they risk undermining themselves with the American people. But you know what? The data shows right now the American people are fine with DOJ. The American people are fine with the deportations. And the American people don't much care that they've moved too fast and have been overbroad who they've deported. And why should they be? Because for 4 years, you people on the left said there was nothing Joe Biden could do about it. You had to have a law change. And now Donald Trump got to be president and proved you've been lying the whole time. You lied for 4 years. Why should the American people be on your side now? You lied about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. You defended Kamala Harris. And now suddenly you're outraged about something and suddenly outraged that people on the right aren't outraged with you. Why the hell should we be, given the 4 years we've just gone through where you were rounding up grandmothers and throwing them in jail for praying at abortion clinics, rounding up whistleblowers who exposed trans clinics that weren't supposed to operate, and you prosecuted them, rounded up reporters and tried to prosecute them for exposing Planned Parenthood, rounded up American citizens and threw them in jail. Oh, but January 6th, but the summer of 2020, you didn't care about that either. This is what happens when you lose your moral and intellectual honesty. It turns out people stop caring about your issues. They stop caring about what you think they should be outraged about because you weren't outraged. You showed no empathy or sympathy to the other side, and now you demand we show you sympathy and empathy? Have a guy I follow on Facebook, he's like, these people are Christians. They're supporting all this stuff. You know what? You're not a Christian. Spare me your interpretation of what Jesus would or would not do until you embrace him as your Lord and Savior. Spare me your interpretation of, oh, you Christians. I put a comment up on Facebook yesterday where I said, you know and I know someone out there is upset those astronauts made it home safe so they can't say Elon Musk had blood on his hands. He's like, you call yourself a Christian. What would Jesus say about this? It's like, well, I got a good relationship with him. You don't even think he's real, so shut up. People on the left, if you want people on the right to care about these things, you should have shown the decency to be concerned about the safety and the lives of Supreme Court justices. Instead, you tried to discredit the Supreme Court. If you want people to care about the illegal aliens being rounded up and sent out of the country without due process, and possibly some people getting tripped up in the system who shouldn't have been there, you had plenty of opportunities to care yourself, and you chose not to. So you will forgive me for not being worked up about a bunch of Americans caring what you want them to care about when you had Plenty of opportunities to show justice, fairness, grace, and mercy for 4 years, and you chose not to. This is turnabout. Whether it's fair or not doesn't matter. It's turnabout. You're experiencing what you did to others now, and you don't like it. You neurotic white women of the left screaming online about your outrage of the day, much of which is wrong. Maybe you should actually get your facts right and turn off MSNBC. I literally had a woman yesterday say he's rounding up and deporting the people who voted for him. Only citizens of the United States can vote for president, and citizens of the United States cannot be deported, so maybe you really should get your facts elsewhere. You want people on the right to care when bad things happen to your side. Maybe you should show the common courtesy of reciprocating, and you had 4 years to do it, and it fell on deaf ears, so I'm sorry. You think January 6th was the worst thing ever? I actually think the summer riots of 2020, excused by you and the press, was even worse. And you won't even say anything about it other than to get defensive. The throne of democracy, the temple of democracy. You know what? The United States across the board is a democracy. And when your neighbor's stores were being burned down, you tried to justify it.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still jammed up 85 northbound, or 85 southbound, I should say, in northern Gwinnett County with the construction in 2 right lanes right at the Mall of Georgia, Beaver Drive, exit number 115, Highway 124, or even 985 are some good alternates there. Elsewhere, construction on the south side. It's in the left lane, 75 southbound, past Highway 155, exit 216 in Henry County, on and off the brakes the whole way out of Stockbridge, and right lane construction both ways in Fulton County, 285 north and southbound, right around Highway 166. Langford Parkway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
If it's happening on the streets of Atlanta.
After suspect refuses to exit home on Summer Chase Drive.
If it's happening on the roads leading to Atlanta.
Looks to be a tanker truck crashed into the median on the jam cam.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The major culprits squeezing household budgets for auto insurance, gasoline, and utilities.
Your 24/7 news source. Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
When your air conditioner or furnace breaks down, the last thing you need is more surprises. That's why at Jape Services, you'll always get a free estimate with honest, upfront pricing. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and we've helped thousands of your friends and neighbors with their heating and cooling needs, and our reputation depends on offering the best solution. Whether you need maintenance, repairs, or a new system, call the company you can trust, Jape Services.
Count on us, Jape Services.
Hey folks, it's Eric Erickson here. Well, it's Trump 2.0 now, and things are changing quickly. Every day, changes to taxes, tariffs, foreign policy, moving at a pace we haven't seen in a very long time, definitely not in the last 4 years. What about your retirement plan? Many of you know about the Magnificent Seven stocks like Apple, Amazon, Meta. They've been behind a lot of the market's recent growth. I saw my buddy David Nicholas on Stuart Varney show the other day. David is my wife's and my financial advisor, and he was talking about what he calls the MAGA 7 stocks and sectors he thinks are going to have the most opportunity in this new Trump administration era. Well, you know, David gave my wife and me a complimentary Morningstar analysis. It's $1,000 value, but right now my listeners can get it complimentary. He's going to give you guys what he gave my wife and me. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, call Nicholas Wealth Management. Get this unbelievably valuable analysis for free. David and his team will review it with you, give you some total clarity, and get you ready for your nest egg in this new era. So if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, please go to nicholaswealth.com. That's NICHOLAS wealth.com. Or call 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Eric Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Becker's in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Septic systems are not a do-it-yourself project. You need an expert. Hi, I'm Shannon, owner of Scorpion Septic. We're Dave Baker's septic experts on the Home Fix-It Show. My licensed and insured team specialize in solving your septic problems on the spot.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Details online.
ScorpionSepticServices.com.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Small businesses are essential to Georgia's economy, but certain personal injury attorneys are gaming the system, targeting them with frivolous lawsuits. Legal fees alone can force a small business to close for good. Senate Bill 68 would stop that. It's a common sense fix that protects hardworking Georgians from abusive lawsuits and makes it easier to stop baseless claims. Visit protectgeorgiasmallbusiness.org and tell legislators to stop lawsuit abuse. Paid for by the National Federation of Independent Business.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Taking the complicated and making it simple. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be happy to have you if you text the word data to 33777. You can get the show notes. They just came out a few minutes ago. Philip hit send on it. Every day as the show starts, we send out the links to all the stuff I'm going to talk about and then some. And if you text data to 33777, you get a 15-20% discount on the paid version of it that gives you everything. And you never have to call the show and say, hey, we want the show notes. We want the link to what he talked about, because it's there in the show notes. Real quick. Finland is now ranked the happiest country on earth. It's the 8th straight year in the World Happiness Report released Thursday. Other Nordic countries are also very happy. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden are the top 4. Norway is up there, but is not as happy. You know who's at the bottom of the pack right now? The United States. We're apparently pretty miserable. While European countries dominate the top 20 ranks, there are some exceptions. Despite the war with Hamas, Israel came in 8th. Costa Rica and Mexico entered the top 10. But the United States, lowest ever position at 24, having peaked at 11. The number of people dining alone in the United States has increased 53%. People have a lot of despair in the United States. Friends, we're worshiping idols. We're worshiping politicians and celebrity culture. We have isolated ourselves in this country. It's not healthy for us. You should know your neighbor and love your neighbor, and you should stop paying so much attention to just what happens in Washington, D.C. It's bad for your mental health. There's more to life than politics. Now, also, you might need a new computer, and that might be frustrating you. If you go to visioncomputers.com today or call them at 404-COMPUTE, they'll build you a new computer. Now, listen, I got a lot of new audience, and I don't care where you are in the United States, they can help you. If you're in Anchorage, Alaska listening right now, they can help you there. If you're in Connecticut, they can help you there. If you're in Palm Beach, they can help you there. Vision Computer can build you a bleeding-edge computer that meets your specifications, that you're not going to have to keep upgrading. They're going to save you money, and then they're going to give you their world-class 5-star customer service wherever you are. If ever you have a problem, you can call them. They answer and give you the answer within 15 seconds. If you just want their tech support, but you don't need a computer from them for $179 a year, they can be your tech support. They can do it for your whole office as well, so you never have to answer the question from your system on what to do with the computer. You let her call Vision Computer. Call them at 404-COMPUTER. Go to visioncomputers.com. 404-COMPUTER, visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you. You'll save even more money. 404-COMPUTE, anywhere nationwide.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. Update on a City of Cumming employee who was killed in the parking lot of the city's utility building. 43-year-old Kevin Turner of Dawsonville has now turned himself in to Forsyth County authorities. He's facing vehicular homicide charges in the death of 44-year-old Crystal Sawyer. Your weather for today. Temperatures dropping this afternoon, headed towards the freezing mark in parts of the metro overnight. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. An American and an Atlanta man who was held in Afghanistan for over 2 years being released today. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying 66-year-old George Glesman was set free after weeks of negotiations between the U.S. and Qatar. Glesman is a Delta Airlines mechanic. He was held captive by the Taliban after the group retook control of Afghanistan. Rubio thanking Qatar for helping secure his release. He's headed back home here to Atlanta. Tesla is issuing a recall of its Cybertruck today. It's due to an exterior body panel that can come off while driving. This is the 8th recall concerning the Cybertruck since it went on sale back in 2023. And the number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits is up slightly, and LinkedIn is out with the fastest-growing skills to be prepared for future work.
So what skills should you learn? In the top 3, adaptability. The most common job titles: teacher, administrative assistant, project manager. At number 2, conflict mitigation. In this current atmosphere, no explanation needed. The most common job titles: customer service representative, administrative assistant, and project manager.
And Michael Kastner says the number 1 skill to learn now is AI literacy. The most common job titles associated with that: software engineer, product manager, and chief executive officer. The markets are right now down. The NASDAQ is down slightly, 24. S&P is also in negative territory. The Dow, though, is up slightly, 63 points at 42,027. Stay close. We'll have live team coverage of traffic and weather right around the corner.
Signs of a wet basement, condensation, wet floors and walls, musty smells, mold, rot. Got them? Then you need to call AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. They'll create a plan to keep your basement dry. Visit aquaguard.net and set up a free inspection today.
AquaGuard. City of Hope, a place where seemingly impossible blood cancers become treatable, curable. With more than 19,000 bone marrow transplants performed, we're the largest and most successful program in the U.S., making major breakthroughs in treating leukemia, lymphoma, and rare blood cancers, personalizing a treatment plan right down to your DNA. Now the experts striving to make the impossible a reality are closer to home. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
Is painting the house on your project list? Make this the last time you paint with Rhino Shield, backed by a 25-year warranty.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful. Multiple contractors and estimates for your home projects? What a hassle. Instead, trust the Plus. Painting Plus.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. We're reliable, fully licensed, and insured. No muss, no fuss. Trust the Plus and leave everything on your list to us.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Alex Williams.
Still jammed up in northern Gwinnett County. That construction on 85 southbound at the Mall of Georgia exit, Buford Drive, exit 115. That is still in 2 right lanes. Highway 124 or 985 will get you around that. Left lane construction on the 400 southbound ramp to I-85 south, heading out of Buckhead into Midtown. And left lane construction cleared in Henry County, 75 southbound past Highway 155, but still a slow ride out of Stockbridge down toward Locust Grove. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and chilly today. Afternoon temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour.
We'll have more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
And occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I am very delighted to have you with me, and I got to switch up what I was going to talk about immediately. We'll get to it, but first, phone number 877-973-7425. Every once in a while, you'll hear a promo on the program or hear me say, if you text the word ARMY, ARMY, to 33777, you can sign up for our activist portal. You have also heard me speak ad nauseum on this program about the speed cameras in my state. Now, I want to explain that issue to all of you because I'm going to talk about something national. Don't tune me out here. Listen to this, though, because it actually has national impact. So here's what happens in my state, just so you understand why it bothers me so much in my state, where I am in Georgia. I've never gotten a ticket. I've never gotten one from a speed camera. They set them up in front of schools in my state. And if you know how in the mornings in school zones across America, you have the yellow flashing lights, the school zone goes down to 25 miles an hour. The problem in the state of Georgia is that in a lot of places, these cameras are configured so they're still giving tickets even after the school zone is over. And they're sorry, had to sneeze. They're supposed to give you a ticket if you're 10 miles over the speed limit. And they're supposed to work for a limited number of hours during the day. But what people are finding is that they're giving people tickets during spring break or fall break or Christmas break, even though the cameras aren't supposed to work. They're giving people tickets during the summer. In my county where I live, the tickets generated almost $1 million of revenue during the summer break when the cameras aren't supposed to be on. So what happens to a working class person who let's say somebody who waits tables at a restaurant, maybe works 2 jobs, they get a ticket in the mail, it's $100 first time, $150 thereafter. They either have to pay the money, and once they pay it, they can't get reimbursed, or they have to write a letter, swear it's not them, or they've got to make sure that it was during the wrong time of day, there was something wrong with the camera, and they got to do all the work. Essentially, they're presumed guilty. You either pay the fine or you don't. And if you don't pay the fine and they add up, the state of Georgia won't allow you to renew your vehicle registration. And the burden is on the workers. The burden is on the poor. In my county, where I live, the local government sent deputies to the local private schools and demanded that they sign the forms to erect the cameras outside their schools. The way the law works, the school has to request it. And the headmasters of the local private schools all say deputies came to them and demanded they sign the form. One headmaster said she was in a meeting, a deputy pulled her out of a meeting, she thought a kid had been in a car wreck. Says, no, you need to sign this form for the government. She says she signed it, didn't think much about it. Next thing she knows, the cameras are there. Yeah, she should have looked, she should have paid attention, but deputy shows up, she's thinking kid's been killed in a car wreck. He says, no, they need your form on this, they need your signature on this form, signs it, he goes away, the cameras show up. What's so interesting is that they've now turned the cameras off in front of the private schools where the wealthy people send their kids to school. But in front of the poor schools in the county, they're still operating, and the poor people are still getting stuck with the tickets. But what's also notable is that they haven't put the cameras in front of the majority-minority schools, only the majority-white schools. So it's the working-class white people who are paying them, but for racial sensitivities purposes in my county, they want to wreck them in black neighborhoods. It's outrageous. And the lieutenant governor in my state has not yet come out and said he'll support it. And there's hundreds of thousands of dollars being thrown at state Senate Republicans in Georgia to keep them on the side of the camera companies. And if the lieutenant governor will come out and publicly say he supports getting rid of the cameras, the law's going to pass the Senate. It's already passed the House. It passed the House overwhelming numbers. Over 100 members of the state House of Georgia supported the law. What the lobbyists for the camera companies are doing is a modified version of the existing law that would only allow tickets during the times the lights are flashing, but that's so good because that's basically how it works now when people are getting tickets on summer vacation. Now, those of you who are listening up in Minnesota or California are like, this doesn't apply to us. Why does it matter? It matters for this reason. Years ago, I discovered that I just don't like to complain about stuff on the radio. When you and I working together can fix stuff. So, for example, if you live in Georgia today and you text ENGAGE to 33777, I'm going to text you back immediately. And all of you can see this, by the way, wherever you are, text ENGAGE to 33777. I'm going to send back the phone number to the lieutenant governor. And you can call the lieutenant governor and say, support getting rid of the cameras, support Dale Washburn's legislation. And if enough people call the office, it shows that there is enough angst about the issue, it will take care of you, and they'll kill the law. I bring this up on a national program about such a hyper-local issue for me in Georgia that most of you don't care about, because I have the means to do this in your state too. We now are on multiple stations in Missouri, Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, sorry. We're about to be on in Salt Lake. We're on in multiple cities in Florida now. We're on in Gainesville. We're on in Jacksonville, Orlando, Vero Beach. We're on in Palm Beach. So if you text the word Army to 33777 and sign up, we're going to start doing these action items in your state too when your legislature's meeting. We do them for Congress as well. So we work with groups like Americans for Prosperity as chapters in every state. And when there's a call to action in your state, we'll be able to send you an email. I don't like to text spam you. I get text spam so much it frustrates me. So you put in your email address, and we can email you the call to action. So, for example, I was going to do it in Texas on school choice, but several of the groups in Texas said, please don't. We've got enough going. It's gonna pass. Don't engage on this issue. So I've held my fire there. But, school choice looks like it's going to be a thing in Missouri. There's going to be a fight in Missouri, and I'm thinking of firing it up there. So if you're listening to me in Missouri and you text Army to 33777, you click the link, put in your information. When the time comes for the call to action, I will send you this link, and if you in an email, and if you click the link, this is the coolest part of it. Literally, you get a little form on a website, and you put in your cell phone number, and then click the button. Your phone immediately rings, and it immediately connects you to your state senator or your state representative. That's what we've been doing in Georgia with the cell cameras, and it's working. People around the state are using the form. They put in their cell phone number, and they call their state legislator. Now everybody's piling on the lieutenant governor. He's got to come out and support it. But I think passive radio listening, there are bad things that happen in this country, things that if people were heard from wouldn't happen. There is legislation that gets passed, and there is legislation that does not get passed because we sat around and talked about it on radio, but nobody lifted a finger to do anything. So for those of you in Georgia listening right now, if you're furious about these cameras, and by the way, I've seen the polling, 80 to 85% of voters in the state are opposed. A buddy of mine told me there are multiple cities in Georgia now that have come out and said they're no longer going to support the cameras. They've gotten too many complaints from people. But you can't just sit there and complain about it. You got to take action. A democracy depends on the people being involved. Democrats say all the time, Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. You know what the threat to democracy is? Apathy. Apathy is the threat to democracy. If you're not willing to call your legislator to complain or to praise them when they do something well, you're part of the problem. So whether you're in Sacramento, California, and it's hard in California because much of what we want is what Republicans want, and the Democrats will kill it, but there are local issues out there as well. In Texas, in Florida, in New York, in the Carolinas, wherever you are, if you're listening to the program, text the word Army to 33777. Just fill out the information so we have it. The other thing we can do is when we come into your area, we'll be able to email you and say, hey, we're coming in, we're doing a live event. So for those of you up in Pinehurst and Southern Pines listening on WEEB, we'll be up there at the beginning of May doing an event with you guys, hanging out. We'll be going to Palm Beach. We'll be going to Kansas City. We'll be going to Lafayette, around the country. We're going to be going and doing live events. It's a great way to notify you. All you got to do is text Army to 33777. But the reason I highlight the cameras in Georgia more than any other is it really frustrates me when Republicans scam the working class. And it is a scam. It's a revenue. It's a way to tax people. It's not even for school safety. This is the other kicker. For those of you who wonder why it really gets my hackles, they said this is for the children. This is for the children. We got to put these cameras in front of schools for the children. They're not using the money for the children. They're using the money for their own general fund. In fact, I was told today my county has raised $11 million. You know how much the school board got? $300,000. $300,000 out of $11 million. It's for school safety, and none of the money went to school safety. It's outrageous. But you can take action. If you're in Georgia, text ENGAGE to 33777. If you're in Missouri, if you're in Texas, if you're in the Carolinas, if you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Arizona, wherever you are, if you're listening to me on the radio, text the word Army to 33777. Don't be afraid to sign up. You're not going to get spammed. I'm not going to sell the list. You're not going to get advertisements. When there is a call to action in your state or for Congress, you'll get an email from me with the link. But don't just be a passive listener. Don't be passive in your democracy. Think about it this way. This is the data from the Democrats. This isn't from me. The data from the Democrats shows that if every registered voter showed up and voted in November, Donald Trump would have won the popular vote by 5 points. Think about that. He basically got 49% of the popular vote. He would have won the popular vote by 54%. He would have won a majority of the popular vote had all the registered voters showed up and voted. That's how much the Democrats are hated right now. And they're hated in large part because the neurotic, crazy white women of America have become the voices and faces of the Democratic Party. You don't believe me? Steve Kornacki's been talking about this on TV a lot lately. He's got the data on the polling about how progressive white women have just overwhelmingly become the voices and faces of the Democratic Party, and it's dragging the party down.
See this. White women with at least a college degree, the only group of white voters that really kind of is on the left politically, aligned with progressive causes, democratic politics. Give you an example here. It's that DEI question, right here, that we asked about in our poll. We had 2 big statements we read to voters. Basically, do you want to continue DEI programs, or do you think they should be ended? And again, look at this divide here. White men, no degree, end it. White men with a degree, end it, they say. White women, no degree, end it, they say, by double digits. And then white women with a college degree, completely different by a nearly 40-point margin, they say, to continue DEI.
White women, neurotic white women with college degrees have become the leaders of the Democratic Party. They are out of touch with the rest of America. They've alienated themselves from everyone else. But your voice still has to be heard because, neurotic white women with college degrees, they're the loudest people out there. I'm going to try not to call them Karens, but you know what I'm talking about. They're the most obnoxious people in America. They call their legislators. In my state, they're trying to kill the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and it is college-educated white women who are the ones standing against free peoples. It is the college-educated neurotic white women who are standing for DEI. All you got to do to get engaged is to be willing to pick up a phone on occasion and call your legislator and let them know you're a constituent. And I'm going to make it as easy for you as I can. You can't complain about the state of affairs if you're not willing to stand up. It's not just showing up and voting once every 4 years for president. It's staying engaged constructively, occasionally. So just text the word Army to 33777. Sign up wherever you are nationwide. As we have calls to action in your state, just like we've done with the cameras in Georgia, which look like they're going to go down in flames, we'll be doing it in your state. But you got to commit yourself to engagement. Don't just be a passive listener on radio, listening to some guy complain about stuff on radio. Be willing to be part of the solution. Be willing to engage your legislature. I will make it as easy as possible. I'll tell you what to say. I'll tell you the bill number. I'll connect your cell phone to your state legislator. All you've got to do is be willing to be engaged, and we can change the country. Think about this now. I've got millions of listeners now around the country. We can be a part of good and productive change in the country. You just got to be willing to be involved and fight back against the college-educated, neurotic white women of America. Now, before I get out of here, I also need to tell you that the people at Old Glory Bank are perfect exhibits of fighting back. They read about the horror stories of debanking trends in the country and decided they were opposed to it, so they started Old Glory Bank. They bought a bank in Oklahoma. They rebranded it as Old Glory Bank, and they made it by conservatives for conservatives, so you never have to worry about being debanked. I love the bank so much. I've used them for 2 years now. I'm also an investor in the bank. You can invest in the bank. You can go to own.oldglorybank.com, buy shares in the bank. They bypass Wall Street for Main Street because they didn't want a bunch of progressives buying their stock and then trying to use their influence as shareholders to turn the vision of the bank away from being for conservatives by conservatives. You can invest at own.oldglorybank.com. Stock goes up and down. It's not FDIC insured. There are risks. You should talk to a professional. If you have questions, you can get the data there. You can also go get a bank account at Old Glory Bank like I have at oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear. It's to tell you the truth.
It's the Erick Erickson Show.
1251 Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. A slow day on the south side, even though the construction on 75 southbound below Highway 155 exit 216 in Henry County has cleared. You're still on and off the brakes the whole way coming down from Mount Zion Boulevard through Stockbridge and to McDonough. 85 southbound Northern Gwinnett County is jammed up due to construction in 2 right lanes. 85 southbound Beaver Drive exit 115. Use Highway 124 985 and left lane construction on the 400 southbound ramp to I-85 south heading toward Midtown. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
Why do you always go after the game show host of The Price is Right?
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
Don't tell me how to handle my life.
Eric Von Haessler.
Or anyone else.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Time changes, season changes. March is a busy month. Dave Baker here for Coolray. Now is the perfect time to get your heating and cooling system tuned up. Coolray will tune up your system for just $79 or get up to $2,250 in rebates on a new Carrier heating and cooling system that comes with the lifetime parts and labor warranty. Simply schedule your appointment online today at Coolray.com. Just pick the time and day that works best for you. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, to discuss one of the biggest blind spots that people face when saving for retirement, and it's a head-scratcher. Chris, how do so many people not know what they're invested in?
That's the biggest flaw that everybody runs into. They think they know what equities they have, they think they know what bonds they have, but they really don't know how those mutual funds or how those index funds are performing in conjunction with one another. So, I would liken this to a big pot of soup and we're just throwing all the ingredients in the refrigerator in this thing. It's not very good. It's just a mishmash of stuff. And sometimes you like the way it tastes. Sometimes you don't. And when you don't know why. You don't know if you got too much chicken in there or too much vegetables in there or what's going on. And I ask every caller that comes in for an initial consultation, do you know how your portfolio is broken down? And they say, well, I've got, 20 or so options in my 401k, and I just picked 2 of them or 3 of them. I thought I needed some international. I thought I needed some U.S. equities. I thought I needed some bonds. And they're just guessing. So you have to absolutely know what you're invested in, and that's where we will run the 401k portfolio x-ray for you, because that'll break it down. If you're not proficient at investing and don't understand this world, we will walk you through it. Not knowing what you're invested in is a big hindrance to growing and protecting your money. We will run a portfolio x-ray for you and educate you on exactly what's in your portfolio.
Set up a time to get your complimentary portfolio x-ray today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, or book online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Healthy, beautiful skin can be yours with Olansky Dermatology. Their expert team offers personalized care for medical, Mohs, surgery, and aesthetic skincare needs. Schedule 24/7 online with their coming Roswell or Buckhead locations, including new evening and Saturday hours in Buckhead. With 40 years of excellence and over 5,000 five-star Google reviews, trust Atlanta's top-rated dermatology practice. Visit OlanskyDermatology.com or call today. Olansky Dermatology and Aesthetics, where everyone deserves healthy skin.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Welcome, it's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, this hour is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If your business is looking to grow, you see opportunities in the present environment, maybe your lender doesn't, reach out to First Liberty, see if they can help your business. FirstLibertyGA.com, FirstLibertyGA.com. There is some breaking news I've got to give those of you in Georgia. The tort reform package in your state legislature has just won the vote in the state house because they amended it slightly. It goes back to the state Senate. It'll pass there, and you guys will get tort reform, and maybe some of those Morgan & Morgan billboards will stop coming down. Or start coming down. Matt, you're going to be the first caller today. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Eric. I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
Well, I had a couple comments to make on the school zone speeding ticket. It's worse than you described. I actually fought one of those up here in Woodstock, Georgia, and I ultimately got it dismissed. But prior to that, they put the lien on my car. So the state actually liened my car about 3 weeks prior to my court date and then left it on for 2 months after. So it's almost worse than what you described, just if you don't pay it. I was in the process of fighting it, and they went ahead and liened the car anyway. The other thing that's interesting is I actually downloaded the video and had my videographer do some work on it. And I was able to show that the calibration on the camera was off by about 12 miles an hour. So it's pretty interesting. I think the law at this point says that they only have to calibrate those cameras once a year. So they do a self-test each day is my understanding, but the calibration is only once a year. So, you know, the plot thickens on it, but I think you're exactly right. It is a scam, and while the intention might be good behind it, the implementation is poor at best.
Yeah, it really is, Matt. Thank you very much for that. Just fighting these cameras in every state where they exist, and honestly, it's a revenue scheme. They say it's for the children. It's for the children. No, it's not. It's for the coffers, for pet projects, for local politicians. It looks like the votes are there to kill them in the state Senate in Georgia, just waiting for the lieutenant governor to take a stand on it. They've given the lobbyists have given him $150,000. But he is known to defy the people who give him money to do the right thing, and I hope he will this time as well. Text ENGAGE to 33777. Call the lieutenant governor in Georgia. Tell him to get rid of the traffic cameras now, or the speed cameras in front of schools. When we come back, we got to shift gears. Speaking of schools, we got to talk about the story in Bloomberg. You know, I got a kid in school. My kids went through the whole learning to use tablets in school to learn. And you know what's happening? The schools where kids use screens instead of books are actually seeing declining educational results, which for any parent who's had their kid using a screen, you know, of course, that this is true. And finally, educators are starting to sound the alarm that maybe the screens aren't the best thing.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Nelson Exteriors. This just in, a major step towards tort reform in Georgia. WSB's Jonathan O'Brien joining us now from the state capitol.
The legislation, which has been a top priority for Governor Kemp, would affect everything from how much money a person can get to cover medical costs in a lawsuit and impact the evidence that can be presented in a trial. Opponents have said that the bill makes it harder for crime victims to get justice, but supporters say the reforms are long overdue to protect businesses from high insurance costs. The measure now goes to the Senate for a final vote, the House voting to immediately transmit the measure. From the state capitol, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. This is also new. Georgia lawmakers passing a one-time $250 credit for residents. If signed by the governor, it would provide Georgians who filed tax returns for 2023 and 24 a $250 to $500 tax credit, with the amount dependent on filing status for residents. All right, your weather for today. Sunny and breezy, and then the temperature is going to start dropping and the clouds will roll in this afternoon, and we're going to be near freezing tonight, actually freezing in some parts of the metro. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. An Atlanta man has been released and is on his way home now after being held by the Taliban for 2 years.
George Glesman was on vacation from his job as a Delta Airlines mechanic when he was detained by Taliban intelligence services in Afghanistan in December of 2022. The United States declared Glesman wrongfully detained in 2023. The release comes after weeks of negotiations that involved mediators from the U.S. and Qatar. A statement from the former U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan says, in part, quote, "Today is a good day. The Taliban government agreed to free Glesman as a goodwill gesture to the American people. George is on his way home to his family." Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Also new this afternoon, a man has turned himself into authorities after a worker with the city of Cumming was hit and killed by a truck.
43-year-old Kevin Turner of Dawsonville is charged with second-degree vehicular homicide for the death of 44-year-old Crystal Sawyer. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office says Turner has since bonded out of the Forsyth County Jail. He's accused of hitting Sawyer, an employee in the city's Utilities Distribution and Collection Division, while she was in the department's parking lot. She later died. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Friends and family gathering tonight to remember the life of a Westminster school teacher whose body was recently recovered from Lake Oconee. Gary Jones disappeared while boating with his fiancée. Her body was found the day after the two went missing. Jones wasn't discovered for about a month later. His celebration of life is tonight from 5 until 8 in Riverdale. There will be a homecoming celebration held tomorrow morning at 11 at Ebenezer Baptist Church in South Fulton. And Tesla is issuing a recall of its Cybertruck. It's because an exterior body panel could come off while driving. This is the 8th recall concerning that Cybertruck since it went on sale back in 2023. It's 102.
Termites are silent destroyers. They could be eating your home right now and you'd never know, unless your termite service thoroughly inspects inside your home with the best termite technology. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here for Breda Pest Management. When was the last time you actually saw your service inspect for termite damage? Let me guess, they just walked around outside and checked bait stations. If termites are eating your house, how would they know by just walking around your yard? Better get Breda. Only Breda uses advanced infrared cameras, microwave technology, and a moisture meter for early detection. So you can continue to pay more every year for your current service to just walk around outside, or switch your termite protection to Breda and your rate is locked in for 10 years. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters like termites. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, Breda. No need to be afraid of bugs.
When you're leaving the house, do you plead with your garage door? Please open, please open. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Let us take that anxiety away with one quick call. Our highly trained technicians will get to the bottom of your garage door issues. It could be a simple repair, a malfunctioning opener, or maybe just needs a tune-up. But if it's time for your garage door to be replaced, we'll make that easy too, with upfront pricing and free estimates. When trust matters, trust us. All, the number 4, Seasons Garages.com.
Save money by getting pre-approved for your next auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union. We offer the most competitive interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with direct deposit. This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to stop in a branch near you. You'll experience kinder banking with real people, not automation. Plus, with 11 locations in Northwest Georgia, we're always local and nearby.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Is painting the house on your project list? Make this the last time you paint with Rhino Shield, backed by a 25-year warranty.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey everyone, it's your buddy Shelly Winter here. Join me this Saturday at noon for the Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Buy or lease, fix or sell, everything you want to know about cars, we will cover Saturday noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
Alex Williams, how are we looking on the road?
Checking on possible new trouble on the West Freeway inbound, 20 eastbound before Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and still slow in northern Gwinnett with that double right lane construction, 85 southbound at Beaver Drive, exit 115. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and chilly today. Afternoon temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. A freeze warning for the Northwest Metro. Frost advisory for the rest of the Atlanta area as temperatures fall to the low to mid 30s for tonight. Tomorrow, sunshine, high 63. Warming up on Saturday, high near 70.
Right now on Peachtree Street, we have 54 degrees. We'll have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It is Eric Erickson. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would absolutely love to have you. If you text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, the social media links, everything you need to stay in contact. You should follow me on Instagram. I'm E.W. Erickson everywhere. I just realized as we're coming back on from break, I accepted someone's friend request on Facebook because I thought I knew him. And then now that we're friends, I realize not only do I know this guy, not know this guy, he's a conspiracy theorist. This is wild, wild stuff. We need to talk about screens. Not the screens that let the breeze through, but not the bugs, but the actual digital screens. I have 2 children. One is now a freshman in college. One is in 10th grade. Our children in school went to, my son still goes to a classical Christian school. Our kids went to a church school for a while, and Bible class involved basically memorizing a verse. Our kid goes to a classical Christian school now, and he's got to take systematic theology like I do in seminary. And boy, the conversations we can have from this. But the thing about a classical school, whether it's Christian-oriented or not, there are classical schools around the country, and you learn Latin in elementary school. Your elementary school is you learn a lot of data, a lot of facts. You memorize a lot of things. And you learn your basic math. And then you get into middle school, and you start learning logic. And you start having to synthesize and analyze all the data you learned in elementary school. And then you get to high school. And in high school, you have to put it all together. You have to argue positions. You have to do theses where you stake out a position. You have to write coherently. You got to be able to make an argument. What we found with my daughter when she was in high school going through this program is that she would do summer programs at Georgia Tech, for instance. She did one on meteorology, one on robotics. And she was the only kid. She was going to school. She was very self-conscious because she was going into a program where there were kids from very advanced STEM schools from Chicago, New Jersey, New York, in these programs. And she was the only one who had the people skills to be able to stand up and make a presentation. The other kids might have been fantastic in math, and they had way more advanced training on robotics and computers than she did at the school she went to because it doesn't have a ton of money and didn't have the latest and greatest stuff. But none of them could actually have a coherent conversation with an adult. In fact, even now, my daughter's a freshman in college, and we have this conversation, and I have with people who know her at college, that she is actually able in the classroom to engage the professors and have conversation with the professors in a way a lot of her peers do not. And one of the big divisions, this isn't to brag on my kids, it is to point out that one of the differences in this classical education model and a lot of major public and private schooling now is that no screens allowed. You got to stand up and answer questions. You've got to do the research. You got to do the homework. And you have books and paper. And there is a lot of research out there that has been shown for years and years that kids who in schools use books and paper perform better over the long term than kids who use screens. And the counter argument has been for quite a while that, well, we say that, but actually screens are a new thing, and once we get used to teaching on the screens, we'll have the same results as books and paper. Well, we are now far enough along, 2 decades, to have the data. Bloomberg News says 90% of schools now provide laptops or tablets to their students. What does the data show? That as more schools put kids in front of screens, their social skills are deteriorating and their test scores are at historic lows. 28% of 8th graders are proficient in math and 30% in reading. For 12th graders, the number are similarly dismal, 24% in math, 37% in reading. U.S. students have fallen further behind than their peers in other countries. The push for laptops in classrooms came from technologists, think tanks, and government officials who imagined the devices would allow for curricula to be tailored to student needs, empowering them to learn at their own pace and raising academic levels. The opposite has happened. However well-intentioned computer manufacturers and others may have been in putting schools in class, in putting laptops in classrooms, the laptop manufacturers have profited, and the kids have not. Now, I have a somewhat unique perspective on this because the very first computer I ever had was in first grade in 1981, and it was an Apple. And I remember they wheeled it in. My world, y'all, I love computers. I love technology. When I was in 4th grade, we took a Logo. That's the basic computer programming language that you learn logic with. Move the turtle on the screen. When I was in 5th grade, typing was mandatory. I can type upwards of 200 words a minute to this day. When I was in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, I took computer programming. When I moved back to the States, went to a private school at first, moved into a public school, I got into the computer programming class, and I had computer programming for years. It's really interesting to watch, though, that technology has changed from we should use it to teach logic and we should use it to teach computer programming and we should use it to teach typing to we should use the computers to teach the classes, everything. And what's happening is that we're getting worse results. There is a lot of data now, that when kids stare at computer screens, they have less attention. When kids read and use paper, they have more attention. One study found it can take students up to 20 minutes to refocus after engaging in a non-academic activity. Put another way, playing one video game 3 times a day costs an hour of learning. Using computer screens in schools for learning shows that student attention drifts elsewhere more quickly than it does if they're using paper and actually listening to the teachers. Some school districts are now starting to ban cell phones during school hours, but additionally, a growing body of schools are getting rid of the laptops and tablets. Now, here's the most interesting thing to me. My kids started out at our church's school before moving to this classical Christian school. And they were, for years, being trained on these tablets. And they finally got them. And I think they were these HP tablets that had keyboards and stuff. And the kids were all trained on them. It was a high-tech bleeding edge. This private school was going to give all the kids tablets. The actual academic data that's coming out of schools, not this particular school, but schools generally that have done this, have shown an academic decline. Even in the higher end prestigious schools, there's been an overall academic decline. But not only that, there's actually been a loss of social skills from students who are spending so much time in a digital world, they're not interacting with their peers. Now, let's jump back to a prior story I mentioned. The United States is the unhappiest it has ever been. The United States is now ranked 24th among happiness among nations. Among Western nations, it's one of the worst. One of the reasons is because there's massive amounts of depression and anxiety among the young. And one of the major reasons is they're more isolated than ever before. In fact, fewer people break bread together than at any time in this country. We have a loneliness crisis, and a lot of it is brought on by screens. Because you can sit there, my wife and I are guilty of this. We can sit in the same room and watch reels on Instagram, and they're hilarious, but we're not talking to each other. A screen has become a substitute companion. But you know what a screen can't do when you're sick? It can't bring you food. Sure, you can order it yourself and have DoorDash drop it off. But nobody's going to come check. Your screen is not going to come check on you. Your screen is not going to water your plants while you're out of town. Your screen is not going to check on your house while you're out of town. Your screen is not going to take care of you. Your screen is not a human being. Your screen does not have compassion. And people, by and large, have substituted human beings with screens. And they've isolated themselves. And they're so online all the time, they think they're plugged in, they think they're connected, they think they're relating, and they're not. They're just further isolating themselves, so they're getting more and more depressed. The algorithm is not a good thing. It's happening in schools as well. Kids are not interacting with their teachers, they're interacting with screens. Kids are not interacting with kids, they're interacting with screens. And we're seeing an academic decline in schools that use screens. Now, here's part of the problem. Given grade inflation and everything else, many of the schools that have become increasingly reliant on technology as part of the school process don't recognize the decline per se. It's when their students get out into the real world that people realize they haven't developed the social skills, they haven't developed the retention of knowledge, and they have a harder time processing work. That's why I am such a big believer in the classical education model. You know, when I was in law school, I had several professors who, when it was your day to answer questions in class, or if you were called on in one of those classes where the teachers randomly picked on people, you had to stand up. You had to stand up, and you had to answer questions. And it was grueling, frustrating, oftentimes embarrassing, but it made you better at, one, being a lawyer over time, but also it made you a better person because you had all eyes on you. You tried not to make a fool of yourself. You tried to maintain eye contact with the professor. You tried to engage coherently. And with a screen, you don't have to do that. I'm telling you, if your school that your kids are in is screen-based all day long, you might want to start asking some probative questions, because what they say is that, well, this will make your kid more technology proficient when they go out into the workforce, except it's making your kid dumber when they go out into the workforce. Yeah, they may know how to turn on the screen, but they won't know what to do when they get there because they've lost their critical thinking skills. The screens are atrophying the mind. There is too much data now after 20 years of this. Too much data to suggest otherwise. By the way, you know who's writing this piece at Bloomberg News? Let me just read you the end of this. The soaring promise of technology in the classroom has failed to deliver results while imposing great costs on children and taxpayers. Superintendents, principals, and teachers ought to lead the way in adopting what has become a radical idea, having students spend more classroom time picking up books and pens and pencils than powering up laptops and desktops. You know who's writing this, and this is why you should pay attention to it? Michael Bloomberg himself, the founder and owner of Bloomberg LP, who made billions of dollars selling computer terminals and was one of the largest advocates of putting tablets and laptops in classrooms. Michael Bloomberg, writing in Bloomberg News, is writing in opposition to a project he himself was an early pioneer of, saying the data has been there 20 years now. We have enough comprehensive data to know that laptops and tablets in elementary and high schools is actually harming kids' brains and abilities to learn, and it's time to go back to books. And a man like that, who pioneered putting technology in classrooms and made billions off technology, writing that is something you should take note of, even if you don't want to hear it from me.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
120 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Tow truck pulling up to the stall that's in the center lane on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound, Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit 49, slows you back to Thornton Road. Better news in northern Gwinnett County. They're picking up the construction, 85 southbound at Beaver Drive, exit 115, the Mall of Georgia. Going to take some time for those delays to shake out from Hamilton Mill. This report brought to you by Zinchi Handcrafted Sushi. Craving something fresh and flavorful? Discover Zinchi Handcrafted Sushi, high quality, affordable, and made fresh daily. Find Zinchi Sushi today at your local Publix market, right by the seafood counter. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the news matters to you.
The FAA says the flight crew was reporting possible smoke in the flight deck.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
Beef prices are going up.
Your 24/7 news source.
They had no ties to a gang, but they were killed by them.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Your family is so ready to celebrate spring. Get outdoors, relax, and spend quality time together. Do it in your own backyard in a Bullfrog hot tub from Brown's Pools and Spas. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy system, allowing you to customize each seat to fit every body in your family. Right now through the 24th, Brown's is offering a free luxury package upgrade on select models or instant rebates up to $1,000. Celebrating 50 years of Brown's Pools and Spas. BrownsPools.com.
Hey folks, it's Erick Erickson here. Well, it's Trump 2.0 now, and things are changing quickly. Every day, changes to taxes, tariffs, foreign policy, moving at a pace we haven't seen in a very long time, definitely not in the last 4 years. What about your retirement plan? Many of you know about the Magnificent Seven stocks like Apple, Amazon, Meta. They've been behind a lot of the market's recent growth. I saw my buddy David Nicholas on Stuart Varney show the other day. David is my wife's and my financial advisor, and he was talking about what he calls the MAGA 7 stocks and sectors he thinks are going to have the most opportunity in this new Trump administration era. Well, you know, David gave my wife and me a complimentary Morningstar analysis. It's $1,000 value, but right now my listeners can get it complimentary. He's going to give you guys what he gave my wife and me. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, call Nicholas Wealth Management. Get this unbelievably valuable analysis for free. David and his team will review it with you, give you some total clarity, and get you ready for your nest egg in this new era. So if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, please go to nicholaswealth.com. That's NICHOLAS wealth.com. Or call 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Erick Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
Attention men. Are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the
way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no, and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life, regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit, or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Howdy, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, let me go to the phones here. Brenda, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Great.
I have a quick question that I'd like your expertise about. When Obama was president and after he was president, people were like, well, when he had control of everything, why didn't they do something about immigration and so on? And now that Trump has control of we're Republican everywhere, why is he using executive order all the time instead of running things through and passing his legislation through the House and the Senate?
Oh, they should, but they have a problem, the filibuster. You need 60 votes to adjourn debate in the United States Senate, and the Democrats are largely refusing to adjourn debate on anything. It's why they're trying to do reconciliation. Reconciliation is a process where you can take spending packages and say, if we do it this way, we're going to save money. And those are not filibusterable by the Senate. They bypassed filibuster, but pretty much everything else. An immigration law can be filibustered. A law on national security can be filibustered. Any of these things can. It slows the process down. And now the temptation for the party that is being frustrated by the filibuster say, we should get rid of the filibuster. That's what the Democrats did when Harry Reid was the leader of the Senate. They got rid of the filibuster on nominees. And now look what happened. Donald Trump was able to pack the Supreme Court. You don't want to get rid of the filibuster. And the temptation is for you to say, well, when the other side gets power, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. Except the Democrats controlled the Senate, and they were stymied by Democrats. The Republicans aren't going to be the ones to get rid of the filibuster for legislation. You get rid of the filibuster for legislation, you end the Senate as a relevant body. And all of the senators know it. The progressive senators say they want to get rid of it, and the progressive senators would, except they're always going to be outnumbered. And some of you will say, well, but it was only Manchin and Sinema last time. You know, Manchin and Sinema could be the faces of it because they weren't running for re-election, and they protected Democrats like Jackie Rosen and others who also didn't want to get rid of it, but could say they did and bypass primaries as a result. they're always playing the base, and now the Democrats suddenly love the filibuster again. They're not going to get rid of it, but that's why executive orders are so common, because so much legislation can be stopped by the filibuster in the Senate. Now, Americans for Prosperity is out trying to build a package of legislation to get the president's tax cuts passed that can't be filibustered. They can use the reconciliation rules. And they're working with members of Congress, designing a plan that the Democrats won't be able to block with a filibuster that will cut your taxes and advance economic freedom in the country. They'd love to have you on board. All you have to do is go to protectprosperity.com. Protectprosperity.com. Is a website where you can click the action button and get involved, keep informed with the latest progress in Congress on advancing the president's spending and tax package. You'll be able to reach out to members of Congress with their action portal to tell them to support it. You'll be able to keep your friends informed. You'll even be able to reach out to your state and local government and get them on board and apply pressure where it's needed. All you do is go to protectprosperity.com. Americans for Prosperity is the largest leading grassroots organization in the country. They're on our side. They'd love to have you on board with them. It's Americans for Prosperity, and protectprosperity.com is the website to go check out today.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. Georgia lawmakers have passed a one-time $250 credit for residents. If signed by the governor today, it'll provide Georgians who's filed tax returns in 2023 and 24 a $250 to $500 tax credit, with the amount dependent on filing status for residents. Also at the state capitol, WSB's Jonathan O'Brien tells me that tort reform has just passed the House 9182. There were changes. That means it now goes back to the Senate. We'll keep watching. New information this afternoon on that Delta Airlines flight that flipped upside down while landing in Toronto. A preliminary report from the Transportation Safety Board of Canada finds the plane was descending at a high rate of speed. 21 people were injured in that crash landing on February 17th. The flight from Minneapolis had 76 passengers and 4 crew members on board. The report does not disclose a cause, though, for that crash. And the Georgia Bulldogs looking to change history as they begin play in the NCAA tournament today.
It's been 10 years since the Dogs last appeared in the Big Dance and more than 2 decades since they last won a game. Their opponent, Gonzaga, has been to 9 straight Sweet 16s. Bulldogs coach Mike White says Georgia should be prepared after the grind of a tough SEC schedule.
You've got to be resilient in situations like this against really good teams on the big stage because adversities are coming.
While lacking tournament experience, Georgia has faced 16 NCAA tournament teams since the start of January. Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Now, our pregame starting this afternoon at 4:05. Tip-off set for 4:35. You'll be able to hear all the action right here on your home of the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's take a look at the markets. We're in the red this afternoon. The Dow's down 46 at 41,918. NASDAQ is also down, almost down 0.5%, and the S&P's also in the red. It's 1:32. Stay close. We'll have live team coverage of traffic and weather coming your way in a matter of minutes.
When it rains, it pours right into your crawl space, and that creates that musty smell and dangerous mold growth under your house. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here for American Crawl Space Solutions. Make the smell and the water go away and stop the water from coming back. Call American Crawl Space Solutions. They're experts at keeping your crawl space dry and preventing the mold from growing in your home. Give them a call today.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
After suffering an injury, you may face many hard questions. What will tomorrow bring? Which firm should I choose to represent me and my family? At Morgan & Morgan, we will hold your hand every step of the way. From our one-click sign-up, mobile apps, and 24/7 availability, we make it easy to get your case started right from the comfort of your couch. All firms are not the same. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Belinda here for Atlanta Vision Institute. I'm here to introduce you to a new procedure that Dr. Ashraf is performing called laser optics. This changed my life, folks. I was so tired of wearing contacts and glasses. The glasses were not around when I needed them. I had astigmatism, so the contacts didn't fit me well, and I had beginning stages of cataracts. So I went in. I was a great candidate for laser optics. It was a quick, painless procedure. The next day, it was like everything was in HD. The colors were more vibrant. The leaves were more vibrant. The sky was more vibrant. vibrant. My husband was better looking. Everything was great. Laser Optics with Dr. Ashraf, Atlanta Vision Institute. Go to the website 2020atlanta.com to find out more information. Also, take the quiz to see if this is a procedure that's good for you. Your medical insurance may cover it. That's 2020atlanta.com.
Is painting the house on your project list? Make this the last time you paint with Rhino Shield, backed by a 25-year warranty.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Beaver Direct certified, providing the highest quality vehicles at the very best prices. Every vehicle undergoes rigorous reconditioning with an industry-leading 12-month, 12,000-mile certified warranty. Visit us at beavertoyotacumming.com and see why everyone loves Beaver Direct.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Alex Williams.
Better news inbound on the West Freeway. That stall cleared out of a center lane. 20 eastbound Fulton Industrial Boulevard exit number 49. Delays from Thornton Road will start to improve. Delays continue to improve in northern Gwinnett County. 85 southbound as you leave at the Chateau Alana area, approaching Hamilton Mill and Buford Drive, the Mall of Georgia exit as construction cleared from 2 right lanes. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and chilly today. Afternoon temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour.
53 degrees in Dunwoody, 50 in Powder Springs. More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson. Delighted to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. I want to talk about judges a little more, but before I do, I need to be a little bit repetitive with some of you and give you a history. I wrote about it this morning. If you sign up for the daily email, there's a free component where you get everything I write in the morning, and then there's the paid component where you get the show notes. All the in-depth show notes if you text data to 33777. But I want to go back to my morning piece first because I really, really, really feel strongly about this topic. We have societally a canary in the coal mines. You know the phrase canary in the coal mines, where it comes from, is the idea of you take a bird in a cage into coal mines, and if the bird dies in the coal mine, you know the air is poisoned and you need to get out of there quick. And it's a warning indicator that something is bad in the coal mine. We have a canary in the coal mines in society. It's anti-Semitism. $30,000 pages related to the assassination of John F. Kennedy were released online 2 days ago by the president. They were all unredacted. In fact, they were so unredacted, people's Social Security numbers are in there. Mentioned this yesterday. The reason that this information was classified for so long, and by the way, the CIA was not involved in the assassination of Donald Trump. I see the conspiracy theorists wanting to rush to blame the country first. Yeah, it does appear that Lee Harvey Oswald did it. Even the Cubans, it turns out from the documents, wanted to collaborate with Oswald and decided he was too deranged. They didn't do it. Neither did the Soviets. Got lucky. People don't like to blame luck, so that they go for the elaborate conspiracy theories, blaming the CIA and the like. The reason the information was redacted and covered up for so long is that the names of CIA agents who were alive at the time were in there. Their sources' names were in there. How they collected the information was in there. Foreign leaders who were publicly denouncing the U.S. but privately collaborating with us, they were all in there. So it made sense to keep that stuff covered up for a very long time. But what I found very disturbing were the number of people on social media, and it is mostly a social media phenomenon, but we're saying actually the documents released were a cover-up because there's no mention of the Jews, and everybody knows the Jews killed Kennedy. Joe Rogan the other day had on a guy named Ian Carroll. Now, I had never heard of Ian Carroll, but he's apparently a very prominent anti-Semite who believes that the Jews were responsible for 9/11. right before having Ian Carroll on, Rogan had on Daryl Cooper, who I do know. He came to fame with Tucker Carlson. Daryl Cooper is the guy who claimed that Hitler was actually misunderstood and Winston Churchill was the bad guy in World War II, and he's got a long history of Holocaust revisionism. Candace Owens is out claiming that the Jews didn't show up to work at the World Trade Center on 9/11. They apparently had advance notice of the attack coming. It was the Jews, you know. Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA has been exposed to have a number of anti-Semites on staff, some of whom no longer work there after the statements made after October 7th, 2023, and the Hamas attack. Some of them still do. There's this ongoing collaboration among people on the right, on the fringes, with anti-Semites. And I say that to also say I'm comfortable calling out people on my side. I had a guy criticize me the other day, saying, "Oh, you're just doing this to be good friends with people in the media." No, I actually think anti-Semites are appalling. And when they're on my side of the aisle, I think I have an obligation to call them out. And I would note how few people on the left want to call out the anti-Semites there. The New York Post has a story from the Anti-Defamation League about the number of progressive editors at Wikipedia who are anti-Semites and are stacking the deck, changing stories to become anti-Semitic to smear the Jews. You have academics on college campuses allowing pro-Hamas demonstrators to chase Jewish students into libraries. One school told the Jewish students who were threatened that they could hide in the attic, just like Nazi Germany. The rise of anti-Semitism is a warning sign for society. Bad things tend to happen to societies. They begin to collapse if the anti-Semitism is left unchecked. As the Black Plague spread across Europe, it was first the Jews who were blamed. You know where it's blamed after the Jews? It always goes in this order. First the Jews are blamed, and then the Christians are blamed. I can easily see a scenario in this country where somehow Donald Trump overplays his hand. Independent voters sweep Democrats back into power, and they immediately begin to blame the Christians who helped prop up Donald Trump, and they persecute the Christians. We've already seen Christian persecution in this country from Democrats. Literally, Jack Phillips, the baker in Colorado, Jack Phillips has been persecuted repeatedly by transgender activists, gay rights activists, Democrats in the state of Colorado. They've tried to shut him down repeatedly. It's only going to get worse. It starts with the anti-Semites going after the Jews, and then it turns quickly to the Christians, and society begins to collapse. The same thing happened with the plague in Europe. First, the Jews were blamed for it, and then the supposedly Christian nations started punishing the actual Christians. The Jews were blamed for the Mongol invasion of Europe. They were blamed for the Black Plague. They're blamed for 9/11, and it's starting to fester again, and it is a warning sign for civilization. And you get these sinister things like, well, you know, the Jews are really Europeans. Actually, we've got archaeology. Take the Bible out of it. We have the archaeological evidence that the Jews inhabited Canaan. They united tribes. They built the kingdom of David. They were dispersed by the Babylonians. Many of them came back. They were dispersed again by the Romans. Ultimately, in 138 A.D., driven out of the land of Judah altogether. It was renamed Palestine by the Romans. Palestine is not the native name of the land. It's the Roman name of the land. They chased the Jews out who dispersed across the Roman Empire. When Charlemagne became the Holy Roman Emperor after the collapse of Rome and the reunification of territories of Europe, Charlemagne embraced the Jews, allowed them to settle down, but over time, Catholic doctrine made lending money a sin, and so the Jews were roped into lending money. So the Jews became the money lenders because the Christians forced them to. Acting was considered a sin. The Jews were roped into acting. They were denied access to the trade guilds. They were denied access to the professional crafts. So they got really good at being actors and really good at being bankers. And guess what? Today, people smear the Jews, say they control Hollywood, they control the banks. Well, you're damn right they do, because you made them do it in the medieval period. You wouldn't allow them to take jobs elsewhere, and so they got really good at those crafts. It's a historic anomaly and a catch-22 for the Jews. They got to be really good at the things they were forced to do against their will, and now people are upset that they're really good at the things they were forced into doing. It's a warning sign for society. And now you've got people on the right like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and nominally Joe Rogan and others elevating and platforming anti-Semites. You've got people on the left. You got Ilhan Omar. You've got Elena Presley. You've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in Congress, for God's sakes. Anti-Semites. They don't just hate Israel, they hate Jews. And all of us need to be warned that this is the canary in the coal mine. When anti-Semitism rises, it spreads. First, they come for the Jews historically, and then they come for the committed Orthodox, Bible-believing Christians. You can say, Erickson, these countries are Christian. Yeah. But in history, many countries that call themselves Christians, they're really not. Take Constantine and the conversion of the Roman Empire to Christianity. Overnight, a bunch of people who had been sacrificing to the Greek gods and the Roman gods suddenly declared themselves Christians, and Jesus was their Lord. They didn't have a change of heart. They had a change of political access, and they had to declare themselves Christians to have access to Constantine. Same thing happens to these other Christian countries. Look at the amount of bloodshed between Catholics and Protestants in Europe. And you know what happened first? They were all blaming the Jews for things. In England, at one point, they chased the Jews out of the country. They were not welcome in the country. Then you know what they did? The Church of England started killing the other Protestants. Friends, we're seeing this festering again. You've got to be aware of it. Stop making excuses for it. I had to ban some people from my Substack this morning because like, oh, you're both sizing this. It's not really a problem on the right. It's on the left. It's like Joe Rogan, I don't actually consider him on the right. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but he's more and more considered right aligned. He's got 25 million listeners to his podcast. He's putting on anti-Semites. Tucker Carlson has millions, and he's platforming anti-Semites. He's blaming the Jews. Candace Owens has millions of followers. She's blaming the Jews. Turning Point USA does massive conservative conferences around the country. They've got anti-Semites actively involved and engaged. This is a big red flag. You must confront it. There are too many people, too many tribal peoples. Like there can be no enemy to the right of me. There can be no enemy to the left of me, depending on which side they're on. No. There can be very bad people to the right and the left of you, and you've got to be able to clean your own house. Otherwise, it's going to get very bad for you, too. We got to stand up to the anti-Semites on the right. We've got to say it's unacceptable. And the left needs to do the same thing. And the problem is that there are way more people on the right willing to stand up and say anti-Semitism is unacceptable than on the left. You've got college administrators and college presidents making excuses for the Hamas supporters on college campuses. They're literally telling Jewish students, hide in the attic if you feel threatened. At UCLA, they blocked Jewish students from libraries on campus. It's a warning sign for all of society. If you're too committed to your tribal partisanship to recognize your side has a problem, and you just say it's the other side, you yourself are part of the problem because it is festering all around us, and it's got to be treated as unacceptable. I just want you to be mindful of this. I want you to be mindful of the people who are being platformed in the podcasts you listen to. It was a very disturbing thing to see notable people, when the Kennedy files were released the other day, claim that the files were actually a cover-up because they had redacted all the sources about Israel and how Israel was involved in the assassination. When you start stringing the conspiracy theories together and it all goes back to the Jews, you've got real problems. You are the anti-Semite. Friends, it's got to be unacceptable. I don't have the clout or authority within the conservative movement to say don't listen to this person or that person, but I got to tell you, when you're having people like Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan or Candace Owens platform anti-Semites and treat them as just another view that we should at least understand and explore. There is nothing to understand or explore about anti-Semitism. The history of it for thousands of years is poisonous to society. Do not play along with it or excuse it on your side, please. Yeah, I'm really passionate about this. I really am. Because one, I've got a lot of Jewish friends. I have a lot of Jewish friends. But two, I am by degree a historian. I know where it leads, and it leads to a real collapse of society. Again, the Jews get blamed first and persecuted first, and then the committed Christians get blamed and persecuted second, and then society itself begins to descend and devolve. I see where it's headed now. You got a lot of people on the right these days who they want a memification of Christianity. They want Christianity without Christ. They want to use it as a cudgel against their opponents, but they don't want to show grace or love their neighbor as Jesus commands because their Christianity is devoid of Jesus. It is beginning to fester on the right. It's a warning sign for all of us. It is unhealthy, and you should be advised of it. And yes, I will keep speaking out on it. I don't mean to bore you. I don't mean to cajole you. I don't mean to bully or badger you, but you yourself must speak out against anti-Semitism. It is a moral obligation of a society, particularly against the people who have been regularly, routinely persecuted for thousands of years, who have done no harm, who are the end of every conspiracy theory because the conspiracy theorists' brains are broken. Now, before I get out of here, let me clean the air with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm and tell you can get 3 of them, save $200, and you can get them for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. You go there, you get the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You're wondering, what is it? Well, it's an air purifier, so it gets rid of dust, it gets rid of pollen, it gets rid of pet dander. It also gets rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses that flow through it. It also wipes out all odors. It wipes out pet odors, wet dog odors, litter box odors, smoke odors, musty odors, sick odors, you name it. It wipes them out. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm, I've used it in hotel rooms. I've used it in cars. Get 3 of them. Save $200. Get them for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Corday Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still slow out of Buckhead into Midtown with the left lane construction on the 400 southbound ramp to I-85 southbound. And now they're picking up the construction in DeKalb County, the I-20 eastbound collector distributor ramp between 285 and Wesley Chapel. That was in the left lane. And they're clearing the right lane construction on those I-20 through lanes. Traffic brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more about their support of Common Threads and nutrition education at anthem.com/dream. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The morning rush hour, the evening rush hour, and everything in between.
Slow spots are starting to build up the east side perimeter on 285 North.
Tune in 24/7 with the Triple Team Traffic
We've
Center.
had several breakdowns, including one in the express lane.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Your deck is more than just a place to flip a burger or have a cup of coffee. It gathers your friends and family on all your favorite occasions and is there to enjoy every day. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors, and we build beautiful, high-quality decks at a reasonable price. We're licensed and insured, provide exceptional customer service, design help, and we'll work with the materials you want. Strength, durability, beauty. Decks done differently. Built by Nelson Exteriors. Get your free estimate. Google Nelson Exteriors.
You've heard that comparison is the thief of joy. Did you know that comparison is also the thief of intimacy? Men, if you want to enhance your romance, eliminate any and all comparisons for your wife. Determined to make your wife the only beautiful woman in the world in your eyes. Exclusivity enables intimacy. Give your gaze, your glances, and your A game exclusively to your wife. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net. There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Are you facing a fork in the road and deciding between continuing your career and retirement? I'm Wes Moss, host of Money Matters, and this massive life decision shouldn't be taken lightly. Talk with my team if you'd like help reviewing your retirement accounts and building a financial plan. We can help you review options and offer an opinion based on your best interests. You can find us at yourwealth.com. That's YOUR wealth.com.
How can your termite company claim your home is termite free? By only walking around the outside? Dave Baker for Breda Pest Management. Termites are the most destructive pest of all. They literally eat your house. So only Breda will also come inside and thoroughly inspect your entire home with infrared cameras. Breda guarantees your termite protection and will lock in your rate for 10 years. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
He may not tell you what you want to hear, but he tells you what you need to hear. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Erick Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Michael, I want to go to you next on the phone. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, Eric. I wanted to ask a follow-up question to an earlier caller. Why don't the Senate Republicans force the Democrats to filibuster as many issues that they would like to get to the floor as possible and then hold them accountable at the next two-year election?
You know, I wish they would. And for those who don't know, you can force a filibuster in the Senate. So here's the rule. This is a parliamentary procedure of which I used to be a very good one. The rule is that everybody gets to speak in the Senate. And you can speak once you get the floor of the Senate. You can speak as long as you want. But once you've had your say, everybody else has to have a say. And once everybody is done speaking, then a majority can cut off debate. But until everybody has spoken, you can't cut off debate without 60 votes. So what happens with a real filibuster is someone takes the floor and they begin to speak. And for the first hour of their speech, they have to speak on the topic at hand. They can then be fielded questions by other people, and they can yield to be asked questions, and they can do that. And then they can just start reading a book. And as long as they're speaking, they can keep it going, and they can yield their time to other people, and back and forth it goes. And once everyone has finally spoken, then debate can be closed by majority vote. And it can take weeks if a real filibuster happens. And that's the problem, is under that rule, it sounds good. Just make the Democrats come in and do it. Bring in cots, keep everybody there for 3 weeks while the Democrats keep talking and talking and talking and talking and wear them down. But the problem is the president has an agenda he wants passed. Let's say it goes 3 weeks. Well, that requires all the senators to be present. What you can do is you can do what's called a quorum call. And when you have the floor of the Senate, you do a quorum call. Well, they read the roll call. And all the senators have to show up. If they're not present, the whole thing collapses. And the Democrats win. So you got to be present. So since you've got to be present, you can't have committee hearings. You can't get together to start drafting the tax plan. You can't do anything. So if you're desperate to get the measure passed and bypass the filibuster, you do it. Otherwise, you got to just succumb to the Democrats' filibuster, and the whole thing collapses. That's the problem with the filibuster. It's a phenomenal tool. The reason you want the filibuster is because at some point the other side's going to have the majority, and because everything can pass the House with a majority vote, you want to be able to slow it down in the Senate. Both sides, when they're in the majority, they hate it, but when they're in the minority, they love the filibuster. And it's a good thing. It makes the Senate unique. It forces consensus. Now, the main problem right now is that we're not under regular order in the House of the Senate. Regular order is when someone writes a bill, Democrat or Republican, it's referred to committee, it gets heard, it gets marked up, it gets the votes or not, and then it goes to the floor. What happens now in most cases is the leadership writes the legislation and they force it through, and so there's no consensus and no compromise, and it speeds things up. but it is uniformly partisan legislation. Everyone says they'd like to get back to regular order, but the leadership doesn't like it because it would give the Democrats a chance to pass legislation as well, which they don't want. But that would be the best thing, get Congress back to legislating instead of entertaining people on MSNBC and Fox. All right, when we come back, I got to move on to what happened to Greenpeace. It is the greatest story of the day. Greenpeace could be going bankrupt thanks to a man from Texas.
Hi, I'm Glenn Burns. As a meteorologist for over 40 years, I've seen how weather impacts our homes. That's why I chose windows that withstand our weather extremes and keep my family comfortable. I picked North Georgia replacement windows for my home, and I recommend them for yours. Their Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows are beautiful, and they're energy efficient. Plus, I know my windows will stay tight and true no matter the forecast.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
There's a hidden tax costing hardworking Georgians over $5,000 every year. Governor Kemp's tort reform legislation will end this tax and lower costs for families. It will also protect victims. Listen to Governor Kemp.
The bill that I will sign is not going to keep anyone in this state from receiving the justice that they deserve.
Ensuring our justice system is fair and accessible and lowering costs for us. Tell Georgia's lawmakers, stand with Governor Kemp and pass tort reform. Paid for by protecting American consumers together.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Governor Kemp says it's a major step towards stabilizing runaway costs and returning true fairness to our courtrooms. WSB's Jonathan O'Brien reports live. The House today narrowly passes a bill to limit lawsuits.
Yeah, narrow is the word for it, Bill. 91 to 82 was the final vote, with a handful of Republicans and 3 Democrats voting against the measure. The legislation would represent a massive overhaul of the state's rules around civil litigation. House Speaker John Burns says the bill is a critical step.
That will return a much-needed balance to our litigation environment, stabilize our insurance markets, and protect the rights of all Georgians.
But opponents say the legislation favors insurance companies and could make it harder for crime victims to get justice. Democratic Representative Stacey Evans says she's disappointed by the vote.
The court should be a safe, welcoming place for all of us, and we just picked and chose losers today, those that will get access and those that will not.
The House then voted to send the bill immediately to the Senate. I'm told we could see a vote there as early as tomorrow. If approved there, it would then go to the governor's desk. Live at the state capitol, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
52 degrees in Atlanta, dropping into the low 30s tonight. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. You'll be getting money back from the state of Georgia. The state Senate today giving final approval for a one-time tax credit of between $250 and $500 for Georgia taxpayers. If signed by Governor Kemp, Georgians who filed tax returns in 2023 and 24 would get the tax credit. The final vote in the Senate, 32 to 20. It passed unanimously in the House. Freedom at last for a Delta mechanic from Atlanta who's been held captive by the Taliban for more than 2 years.
George Glesman was abducted in December 2022 while exploring Afghanistan's cultural sites. His release, facilitated by Qatari negotiators, did not involve a prisoner exchange and is being viewed as a goodwill gesture from the Taliban. Secretary of State Marco Rubio acknowledged Qatar's vital role in the negotiations and emphasized ongoing efforts to free other detained Americans. The 65-year-old Glesman is currently en route back to the United States, escorted by Adam Bowler, a key envoy from the Trump administration. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Charges are filed after a city employee in Cumming is struck and killed by a truck. 43-year-old Kevin Turner of Dawsonville is charged with second-degree vehicular homicide in the death of 44-year-old Crystal Sawyer. She was hit while in the parking lot of a city utility building last week. It is now 2:02, and this news is sponsored by Brett Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter here from my good friends at PalmettoSleep.com. Let's talk about a serious business, sleep apnea. I suffer from it, and whether you've been diagnosed with it or afraid you have it, I have the solution. Palmetto Sleep is here to give you your life back. They make it easy to get help for sleep apnea because living without a good night's sleep is simply no way to live. Palmetto Sleep offers a custom-fitted oral appliance that opens your airway so you naturally breathe the way nature intended. The best part is they offer virtual consultations and in-home sleep testing. No overnight stays at a sleep center. Plus, Palmetto Sleep has all the doctors that you will need. Most appointments are virtual, and it's all covered by your private medical insurance. Don't suffer from another sleepless night or daytime fatigue like I do. Visit PalmettoSleep.com now. Visit PalmettoSleep.com. That's PalmettoSleep.com.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 404-390-4000.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Has that pain on your house reached the point of surrender? You really can't put it off another year, right?
It's Jeff and Roxanne, local owners of Rhino Shield. Let Rhino Shield help you with a solution that'll make this the last time you paint.
Rhino Shield ceramic coating will last you 25 years, improve your home's curb appeal, and comes with a 25-year warranty.
Get a free estimate at rhinoshieldga.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Still watching plenty of volume on the south side. 75 southbound brake lights find you just south of Mount Zion Boulevard, exit 231. You're going to stay on and off the brakes all the way down through McDonough, getting past Highway 155, exit 216. Northbound slows out of Locust Grove from Bill Gardner Parkway up to Jodeco Road. And the road work continues on 85 northbound, heading up out of DeKalb toward Norcross. HOT lane blocked. 85 north from 285 up past Pleasantdale Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and chilly today. Afternoon temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. A freeze warning for the Northwest Metro. Frost advisory for the rest of the Atlanta area as temperatures fall to the low to mid 30s for tonight. Tomorrow, sunshine, high 63. Warming up on Saturday, high near 70.
Right now, 48 in Dallas, 54 in Gainesville, 56 in Stockbridge. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists across the fruited plain. It is Eric Erickson here, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, we would be happy to have you. Don't forget, text DATA to 33777 to subscribe to the show notes. I've got to introduce you to a hero to all. You should know his name, Kelcy Warren. Kelcy Warren is not going to get all sorts of glowing praise and attention, but Kelcy Warren is an American hero. Kelcy Warren is the CEO of a company called Energy Transfer, and full disclosure, I own stock in Energy Transfer. It pays a great dividend, although I get these wild partnership because it's like an LLLP, limited liability, limited partnership or some such. I get these crazy statements that go on my tax returns. I don't own a lot of Energy Transfer, but it pays a great dividend. So I always keep a little bit in it, and I just reinvest the dividend. Kelcy Warren, the CEO of Energy Transfer, is an American hero. You should say his name with joy. Kelcy Warren, God bless you. He's bankrupted Greenpeace. What? You like Greenpeace? No. Greenpeace is a terrible, terrible organization. Here's what happened. There is a pipeline in the Dakotas. The pipeline in the Dakotas is a pipeline to transport natural gas. It's the Dakota Pipeline. And Greenpeace organized demonstrations against the expansion of the pipeline that was being built by Energy Transfer. Greenpeace says it's going to appeal, but this is going to be a hard case for them to appeal. See, Energy Transfer brought the case in North Dakota. This is the Dakota Pipeline in Morton County in Mandan, North Dakota, about 45 minutes north of where the protests were going, where the pipeline was. Here's what happened. Greenpeace organized demonstrations against this pipeline that is actually pretty desperately needed. And Greenpeace didn't just protest. Greenpeace enabled the people who were a pretty small, disorganized local issue. They exploited it. They shut down the pipeline access. They used it for their agenda. They disrupted the ability to work. Greenpeace trained people in protest tactics. They dispatched its quote-unquote rolling sunlight solar panel truck to provide power. They provided funds. They provided supplies. And actual real damage was done. The protesters did not just take a peaceful stand. They were violent. They were disruptive. They caused harm. And Kelsey Warren, the CEO of Energy Transfer, said he had enough. He was not going to be bullied by Greenpeace or by the anti-energy activists who want to take us back to the dark ages. So he filed a lawsuit against them. Greenpeace said it was about free speech. It's all about free speech. Energy Transfer said this had nothing to do with speech. It had everything to do with trying to cause economic harm to a company and shut down its economic development project. Energy Transfer sued Greenpeace for $300 million plus punitive damages. The verdict came back from the North Dakota jury, $660 million. Greenpeace said if the verdict was over $300 million, it would be wiped out in the United States. It would no longer be able to operate in the United States. The jury came back with $660 million. The jury spent 2 days deliberating. It took a half hour to read out the list of questions posed by the jurors. They found Greenpeace committed trespass, defamation, and conspiracy, among other violations. Greenpeace claims this is an attack on the First Amendment. Energy Transfer's lawyer, Trey Cox, said peaceful protest is inherent. But these weren't peaceful protests. These were violent and destructive. And they were. And they documented it. Greenpeace has a history of stirring people up who act out to sabotage energy issues, among other things. Kelsey Warren is an American hero. He fought back. Energy is in retreat in this country against a rabid group of left-wing activists who have convinced themselves that if they do not stop energy companies, we're all going to burn because of global warming. And the reality is what the environmentalists want is for this country and the whole world to go back to the dark ages, which was the last time we were dependent on solar energy and wind energy. You could function during the day when the sun was up. You could get the wind to blow windmills to crush grain. That's what they want. Kelsey Warren and Energy Transfer said no, they want real energy. The environmentalists are not really well off right now. Here's the Wall Street Journal's coverage today. The fossil fuel industry gets its revenge on green activists. The Trump administration has cranked out approvals of major projects to ship liquefied natural gas from the Gulf Coast and killed a host of climate-related initiatives. Texas billionaire Kelsey Warren won nearly $700 million verdict against Greenpeace that could spell the end of the group's U.S. presence. These are major setbacks for green groups. They have opposed new exports of natural gas, sought to stop new pipelines, and asked the government to step up support for communities affected by climate change. The defeats herald the challenges that activists face as President Trump and his allies move to expand fossil fuels' footprint here and abroad. Trump has directed federal agencies to speed up permits for oil and gas infrastructure, a key demand of his oil and gas donors, including Warren, co-founder of pipeline energy giant Energy Transfer. The Trump administration also making deep cuts at the EPA, which played a central role in stymieing fossil fuel industries. Legal groups said that while green groups have dealt with previous administrations' efforts to weaken environmental standards, they're facing an extraordinary challenge under Trump 2.8. Good. These people just want to ruin us economically. Chris Wright is from the fossil fuel industry. He's now the energy secretary. He's actually a very brilliant guy. He was on CNBC.
Net zero by 2050, of course, is just nonsense. It's an activist thing, and it's a top-down big government justification to do mostly anti-human things. But what I will say to maybe not to the climate activists, but to the thoughtful people about climate change, we will follow the math and the science and be honest about the trade-offs here. Everything in life has trade-offs. If you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions without raising prices or reducing human freedom, that's a big win. And that's what the rise of U.S. shale gas has done by growing LNG export. We share that economic and reduced greenhouse gas benefit with the world. But we're going to treat things like they're real serious topics and not a quasi-cult religion where we'll justify anything in the name of climate change, even when it's reversing the benefits from climate change as the Biden administration did with the LNG pause. Return of common sense, I should say.
Yes, a return of common sense. The president on his first day in office lifted Biden's pause on liquid natural gas exports, which I should note, Mike Johnson has said that Joe Biden claimed no knowledge of having done a pause on LNG exports. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who you just heard from, has granted permits to 4 liquid natural gas projects, including conditional approval to Venture Global's Calcasieu Pass 2 terminal known as CP2. CP2 has been a test case over natural gas export facilities. More than 230 climate groups and others urged Joe Biden to reject the project, arguing the emissions linked to liquid natural gas produced there would equate to 20 times the annual emissions of ConocoPhillips' Willow Oil project in Alaska that Biden approved. Environmental activists blasted the new authorization, saying additional LNG exports would lock in greenhouse gas emissions for decades and harm local communities. Oh, poor babies. You know who will benefit? Us. You know what's happening right now? Gas prices are going down at the pump. You know what the Market Watch, CBS's Market Watch did? They ran a story yesterday that gas prices are going down. This is bad for America. Why? They say, oh, it means the economy must be slowing down. No, you know what? We're on a futures market. We're on a futures market, and the Trump administration has been barnstorming around the country, blowing past environmental regulators and others to get more oil out of the ground, to allow oil companies to pump more. It's a good thing. It is good for our economy. Cheap energy is a good thing for our economy. China in the next decade is going to have more coal-powered plants producing more greenhouse gas emissions than the United States has produced in its history as a nation. Saw that story the other day. It was in the stack of stuff the other day in the show notes. Blew my mind. In the next 10 years, China is going to produce more greenhouse gas emissions from coal-burning power plants than the United States has done in its history as a nation. If we turned off the lights tomorrow and shut everything down, the Chinese emissions would still outpace the world. Energy Transfer fighting Greenpeace is a great thing. Energy Transfer beating Greenpeace in court to the tune of $660 million is a great thing. Having the Trump administration invest in LNG exports and the production of oil and gas is a great thing. It makes America more energy independent. It makes our economy more robust. It lowers costs for you and me. It lowers prices. It is non-deflationary, lowering prices. Yes, it deflates prices, but it doesn't have a deflationary effect on the economy. Why? Because it stimulates so many other sectors of the economy. So it can lower your grocery prices by bringing down the transport costs of your groceries, of your meat, of your vegetables, the harvest costs and the like, without actually deflating the American economy, because it stimulates so much more of the economy. Cheap energy is a good thing, and that's why the environmentalists hate it. Environmentalists hate cheap energy because to environmentalists, it's going to destroy the planet. They would rather your life be destroyed. They would rather you have super expensive costs to have additional kids. They would rather you have major costs involved in your life related to energy. Now, get this. This is from Fox News. Environmental groups with ties to anti-Israel groups and to the Chinese Communist Party and billionaire megadonors are pressuring Democratic congressional leadership to pursue an agenda of no immunity for the fossil fuel industry. There's an effort in Congress to shut down lawsuits against the fossil fuel industry, claiming there are a bunch of lawsuits claiming that they're harming the environment. Ted Cruz and James Comer have sent a letter to the Attorney General to investigate the NRDC and its actions. The NRDC and CEO Manish Bhatna is a council member of the Chinese Council of International Cooperation and Environment and Development, which is actually just a backer of Chinese propaganda, they claim. The Chinese Communist Party, like the Soviets of the day, is throwing money at environmental groups because they're trying to hurt the American economy. One of the ways they're trying to hurt the American economy is to sue fossil fuel industries, claiming that they're destroying the economy and creating climate change. Congress is considering legislation to block them and say you can't sue for that. And the Chinese Communist Party are funding environmentalist groups who want to block that law. Back in the day, the Soviets funded environmentalists to hurt the United States. Now it's the Chinese communists doing it. We should stand up for the energy companies. Kelsey Warren is an American hero. Going after and successfully taking out Greenpeace is a big deal, and it is an absolutely good thing for this country and for the world.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Watching the brake lights fill in through downtown. Already slow out of Buckhead, 400 south from Lennox Road down to that left lane construction on the ramp to 85 southbound. Once you get past that, you'll slow again approaching 17th Street. On and off the brakes down to I-20. 285 west and southbound. The outer loop in Cobb County is starting to see some delays as well. New Northside Powers Ferry past Cobb Parkway. Traffic brought to you by your Atlanta Braves. Your Braves are back. Don't miss the opening homestand at Truist Park, April 4th through the 10th. Visit braves.com/promos to see all the fun and purchase your tickets. Atlanta Braves baseball, we are Braves country. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Stay connected to Atlanta's news, weather, and traffic with the 95.5 WSB app. Listen to Atlanta's morning news. EVH, Eric Erickson, Mark Aram, and Shelley Winter. No matter where you go, 95.5 WSB and the WSB app. Download it today or find us in the iHeart and Odyssey apps.
Don't ignore any cracked bricks or concrete, floor or wall gaps, or bowed walls. You could be ignoring underlying foundation problems, and that will hurt the value of your home. Foundation problems? Visit AquaGuard.net today and book your free inspection.
AquaGuard. Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz, and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no, and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Stay comfortable at home all year long with Jape Services. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and our team has decades of experience servicing Atlanta's heating and cooling needs, which means you can count on us. We're licensed, insured, and I personally guarantee when you call Jape Services, you'll be treated just like family. Call us 24/7 or book online at japeservices.com. That's JAPE services.com.
Jape Services.
Time to paint the house again? Are you tired of shelling out all that money every 5 years?
Hey, it's Jeff and Roxanne, proud and local owners of Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield's exterior coating will last you 25 years, improve your home's curb appeal, and is backed by a 25-year warranty.
So delete your painter from your contact list for good. Get a free estimate at rhinoshieldga.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
At D. Geller & Sons Spring Bridal event, March 21st through 23rd, you're going to have the opportunity to work with their expert jewelers to redesign your engagement ring or any special piece into something new and extraordinary. And with up to $3,000 in savings or 0% APR for 3 years, your dream redesign is within reach. So make an appointment today at dgeller.com. Walk-ins are welcome, but scheduling guarantees you personalized attention at D. Geller & Son, Atlanta's trusted jeweler since 1939.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Beckers in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers.
Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Heavy rains have recently impacted widespread areas of North Georgia. How did your roof hold up? Heavy rains expose roof leaks that can lead to water damage. Schedule a free roof analysis from Dave Baker, trusted and recommended, FindlayRoofing.com.
Roof. All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, Greg, you're going to be the next caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Eric. Welcome to the best time of year, the Masters, March Madness, in baseball.
Oh my gosh! I first of all, I gotta say, and I know this is what you call about, but I get alerts for Cubs games, and I got one the other morning. I woke up, I was like, why are they played at like 8:00 in the morning? But nonetheless,
They were in Japan. It's great.
Yeah. Yep.
So
the Masters.
The Wall Street
God bless
Journal
them.
article. I know. The Japanese are baseball fanatics. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal article on Greenpeace struck me quickly because when they outlined what happened in North Dakota, it's the exact same tactics used by the anarchists and Marxists trying to stop Cop City in Atlanta. Trespassing on private property, human pain, trespassing on private property, vandalism and destruction of construction equipment, harassment of workers, exact same playbook, probably bankrolled by some of the same people, maybe the Rockefeller Foundation or others that are notorious for this.
Look, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, this is. I'm glad you bring up the Rockefeller Foundation. For those of you who don't know, which is probably most of you, you know, the descendants of John D. Rockefeller are actually some of the biggest fanatics for climate change, and they're trying to shut down oil companies, including their own family's oil business, because of their nightmare scenarios over climate change, and they're willing to fund protesters around the country. That's a great comparison, Greg. I'm glad you brought that up on Cop City. So there's this project in Atlanta to build a police training facility, and the Antifa goons showed up. They firebombed police trucks. They attacked a fire department. They shot at police officers. Super, super violent people, but thankfully, they won. The good guys won, and they were finally able to build what is derisively called Cop City, the police training facility. Now, the Masters. You had to mention the Masters. I admit I want to go. Didn't score a ticket this year, but I'm at least for Sunday for the Masters. I'm going to get the food package because I always have guys over to watch the Masters on Sunday. So we'll have pimento cheese and barbecue. All right, I got to tell you about Hillsdale College. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today. Sign up, get one of the great classes from Hillsdale College. You got 40 of them to choose from, and they're all fantastic, and they're all completely free. Surely there is a topic that you are interested in and you want to improve on. There's no better place to improve than to go through one of these classes with Hillsdale College. They're video lectures. You do it at your own pace, and you pay nothing. You even get a certificate for completing the video lecture series. Each episode is about 30 minutes long. It depends on the class, how many episodes there are. You get them on chemistry, mathematics, philosophy, religion, politics, history, you name it. You go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. The Constitution 101 one is great. The Introduction to Chemistry is great. There's one on ethics that's really good. There's one on basic economics that I got to take to remind myself. All you got to do, though, is go to ericforhillsdale.com today. It's completely free. Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Go sign up with Hillsdale College today. Start a relationship with them. It's worth it.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Freedom for an Atlanta man who's been held by the Taliban for over 2 years. George Glesman was on vacation from his job at Delta Airlines when he was detained in Afghanistan in December of 2022. The release comes after weeks of negotiations that involve mediators from the U.S. and Qatar. Secretary of State Marco Rubio thanks Qatar for helping secure Glesman's release. The governor's push to limit lawsuits in Georgia is a step closer to becoming law.
The legislation, which has been a top priority for Governor Kemp, would affect everything from how much money a person can get to cover medical costs in a lawsuit and impact the evidence that can be presented in a trial. Opponents have said that the bill makes it harder for crime victims to get justice, but supporters say the reforms are long overdue to protect businesses from high insurance costs.
WSB's Jonathan O'Brien reports from the state capitol. It passes by just one vote today, and the measure now goes to the state Senate for a final vote. The Newton County Sheriff's Office releases new information today on a shooting at Denny Dobbs Park that left a teenager dead. The victim identified as 18-year-old Justin Etienne of Conyers. He was a student at Salem High School. The shooting took place during a large gathering of students taking part in a senior skip day. No one else was injured. The suspect remains at large. President Trump is signing an executive order this afternoon to continue the dismantling of the Department of Education. CBS White House reporter Willie James Inman says certain programs will remain.
He will need Congress to fully get rid of the Department of Education because it was created during the Carter administration by an act of Congress. So the president cannot just unilaterally do this.
March Madness is here, and the Georgia Bulldogs tip off against Gonzaga in just over 2 hours. You'll hear it right here on WSB. This news is sponsored by FGA Roofing.
Dave Baker here for Ben Hill Renovations. I know what's important to you when you're looking for a new deck. You want the work done with quality workmanship, on time, within your budget, and built correctly. Getting a new deck from Ben Hill Renovations checks all the boxes. And when it comes to new decks, pretty much anything you can imagine, Ben Hill can do. And they're all backed by the Ben Hill Workmanship Warranty. Swing by the new Ben Hill Renovations showroom in Douglasville and talk to one of their designers, or see them on the web at bhrenovations.com. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, you can save on USDA Choice Boneless Chuck Roast, on sale for just $6.99 a pound with your digital coupon. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter. With the uncertainty of possible tariffs scheduled for April 2nd, Butler Lexus of South Atlanta has your pre-tariff Lexus right now. Visit before April 2nd for guaranteed pre-tariff pricing. Call 800-NEW-LEXUS.
It's your money. Get it sooner. All you need is direct deposit with a checking or savings account at Coosa Valley Credit Union. This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union. Not only can you get your money sooner, but we believe in kinder banking where you deal with real people in person. So come see us.
Belinda here for Atlanta Vision Institute. I'm here to introduce you to a new procedure that Dr. Ashraf is performing called laser optics. This changed my life, folks. I was so tired of wearing contacts and glasses. The glasses were not around when I needed them. I had astigmatism, so the contacts didn't fit me well, and I had beginning stages of cataracts. So I went in. I was a great candidate for laser optics. It was a quick, painless procedure. The next day, it was like everything was in HD. The colors were more vibrant. The leaves were more vibrant. The sky was more vibrant. My husband was better looking. Everything was great. Laser optics with Dr. Ashraf, Atlanta Vision Institute. Go to the website 2020atlanta.com to find out more information. Also, take the quiz to see if this is a procedure that's good for you. Your medical insurance may cover it. That's 2020atlanta.com.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Still watching the brake lights out of Buckhead into Midtown due to the left lane construction on the 400 southbound ramp to I-85 southbound. You slow once you get past that on 85 south as you make the trek into Midtown. 75, 85 southbound sluggish down to I-20. And we still are watching some delays, even though the construction cleared 85 northbound near I-285 Spaghetti Junction. It stays sluggish up into Norcross. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Breezy and cool today. 52 now in Peachtree City, 46 in Canton, and 48 in Decatur. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Howdy. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I need to bring you all an important Erickson family update. We get our new dog on Thursday, a week from today. We will be getting Max. Max is a schnoodle, which is a poodle schnauzer mix. From a place down in South Alabama, Smralia. And my wife is going to go pick him up next week and bring Max home. And he will be trained and looks like he qualifies for service animal. And we're going to be doing that training because my wife with her cancer and has some issues for which they think she could use a service animal. Which will be nice if we can get him certified as a service animal, too. Then we can take him places and not have to worry about having to figure out whether or not it's pet friendly, which would be handy. And I realize that there are all sorts of people who they put a service animal collar on their dog and say it's a service animal, even though it's not. We're not going to do that. We don't be those people. We're going to put him through the extra training. So my wife gets these dizzy spells, and apparently the dog can be trained to help her deal with dizzy spells. It's part of her chemo side effects. So looking forward to having this dog in the house. He's also going to be big, apparently, much bigger than Maggie, who passed away last year. Now, I want to go back to the judges. There is an organized effort on the left and in the media to claim that Donald Trump is defying judges. And I need to give you the polling on why they are doing this. It is, among all parties, deeply unpopular to defy judicial orders. And they're highlighting, for example, Donald Trump refusing to turn a plane around that had people being deported to El Salvador on it. And the Trump administration's response was that because the plane was outside of American territory, these people were already considered deported. And the judge tried to get the Trump attorney in court for the Department of Justice to say he agreed with the judge or disagreed with the judge. And the guy refused to say he disagreed with the judge. What he said was that these people were already outside of American jurisdiction. It did no good to call them back home because they were already deported. And that's as far a defiance as the Trump administration has gone. But yet the media continues to insist that Donald Trump is defying courts. In fact, Donald Trump has not defied the courts. Here, I raised this issue earlier in some of the wild headlines that they're getting out there with the crazy claims that supposedly Donald Trump is maybe broken the law. This is the Washington Post. More than a dozen judges have said Trump probably broke the law. Concurrently, there are other stories out there about the violence on judges, and there are stories out there about Donald Trump defying courts. Donald Trump hasn't defied the courts, but this is why they want you to believe he's defying the courts. This is from Harry Hinton. Well, let me see if I can get the audio here. Harry Hinton basically says he's got polling across the board. Democrats, Republicans, independents, everybody says, no, do not defy the courts. Handle this through the appellate process. And nobody wants Donald Trump to defy the courts. They want them to fight it out in the courts.
The American people do not want Trump to defy court rulings, all right? You rarely see numbers like this. Should Trump follow court rulings? Look at this. 84% of all adults, that's near uniformity in this day and age. You rarely ever see 92% of Democrats, 82% of independents, 79% of Republicans agree on anything. But they do agree on this. They may disagree over Donald Trump, but they all agree that he must follow court rulings. To cross that Rubicon is a big no-no in the eyes of the American public. When the court comes down with a ruling, the American public concurs with each other. That is, Donald Trump must follow those court rulings, even if he doesn't like them.
I mean, only dogs could get this kind of approval rating. This is incredibly telling.
This and Mother Teresa crosses the Mother Teresa line. She had about an 80% favorable rating when she passed.
Okay, so what do Americans think about whether or not he will defy or not defy a court? Where are they on that?
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. They all pretty much agree that he should follow court rulings. But when it comes to whether he will follow court rulings, this is where there's big disagreement. Will Trump follow court rulings when the courts rule against him? Look at the majority number here. 58% are not confident that he will, compared to just 42% who are confident that he will. So I think this news that's come out over the past 48 hours, will he, won't he? He, of course, says he will. But the idea that he wouldn't, that finds a home in the American public. That pretty much goes with what they think might very well happen, because 58% of the public is not confident that.
Okay. This is why the media is insisting Donald Trump is ignoring courts. This is a headline from the New York Times I brought up earlier. This is worse. Trump's judicial defiance veers beyond the autocrat playbook. The president's escalating conflict with federal courts is even more aggressive than what happened in Hungary and Turkey. Over the weekend, the Trump administration ignored a federal judge's order not to deport a group of Venezuelan men, then later tried to retroactively justify its actions with arguments so distant from settled law and ordinary practice that legal experts have said they border on frivolous. That's the New York Times' characterization, and it's not true at all. The people who were deported were sent to El Salvador. They were over the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico when the judge's order was issued. They were already outside of American airspace. You can argue that because they were on an American plane, they still need to come home. That's not the Trump administration's argument. The New York Times is willfully characterizing this in the worst case scenario because they're trying to make people mad at Donald Trump. Another situation, they deported someone, but the ICE officers did not know the person was ordered by a judge to be kept in the country until after the person was removed from the country. In another case, the person was not deported. That's how it was reported in the media. They actually were denied entry into the country and sent back to Lebanon because they had gone to a terrorist funeral in Lebanon, and they were told you can't come back in the country. And yet the media willfully mischaracterized that. So much of the supposed Trump defiance of courts is actually media mischaracterization and not actually what's going on. Again, back to this other New York Times story, how Trump is trying to consolidate power over courts. Donald Trump called for one federal judge seeking basic information about his deportation efforts to be impeached amid mounting concern about a constitutional showdown. This is the same judge they said ordered people returned and not deported. Now it was just basic information they wanted. Another judge found that Mr. Trump's efforts to shut down a federal agency probably violated the Constitution and stripped Congress of its authority. The president was accused of overstepping his executive authority yet again and firing 2 Democratic commissioners from an independent trade commission, and that was just Tuesday. But wait, there's more. Here is the Washington Post from Aaron Blake. From the start of his second term, President Donald Trump and his administration signaled a willingness, even a desire, to flout the law in their quest to overhaul the federal government. And while the wheels of justice turn slowly, less than 2 months later, a procession of judges has already ruled the administration has done exactly that. In more than a dozen cases, and in 3 major rulings this week alone, a federal judge has ruled that the administration either has violated the law or has probably done so. The total works out to 1 such finding about every 4 days. The cases in which a judge has reached such a ruling span Trump's efforts to freeze federal funding, fire federal workers, restrict diversity efforts, overturn birthright citizenship, and more recently, limit transgender rights and deport certain immigrants without legal review. Let's do the trans rights one. That is transgender soldiers in the military. In 2017, Donald Trump did this, and John Roberts on the Supreme Court refused to stop him. And yet a federal judge in D.C. has now said he can't do it, even though John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States, has let him do it. Let's talk about the federal workers that Donald Trump is apparently not allowed to fire, even though he's the head of the executive branch. He should be able to. Donald Trump has had more judges stop him in the last 3 weeks than Joe Biden did in 4 years in office. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you will take the point of view, well, the conservative judges should have stepped up and stopped him. But that's not really how it works. You got to file, you got to get a federal judge. There are more conservative judges spread out around the country. It's easier to file in a place where there's a concentration of progressive judges in California or D.C., but you know it's also not exactly hard to stop this. The Constitution of the United States of America allows Congress to say there are certain situations judges are not allowed to get involved in. Ron DeSantis on Twitter pointed this out. The Constitution actually says that the Congress can restrict the power and purview of federal judges. It's probably time for them to do so. It's probably time for Congress to restrict those matters that the courts can hear. And in fact, pull from the courts the ability to hear Donald Trump claims on deportation matters. Why not? Restrict the courts. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction both in law and fact, with such exceptions and as such regulations as the Congress shall make. In fact, it is very, very clear that the judicial power will be governed in ways that the Congress declares and with such jurisdiction as Congress declares. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction in only cases between states, by and large. There are a few other exceptions there, I think, but mostly that's it. Everything else goes through inferior courts. And those inferior courts have their jurisdiction controlled by the United States Congress, which has the power under the federal Constitution to say, no, very sorry, you don't have the power to hear that case. It's probably time for Congress to step up and do that. Probably time for Congress. Now, how do you do it? Well, you put it on a must-pass bill so it gets past the filibuster. It's actually not hard to do. You just have to have the will to do it. You put a provision in a must-pass bill. Let's take one of the appropriations bills that's got to be done to keep the government open, and you risk the government shutdown. And you say, we're not taking this provision out. You can keep the government shut down altogether. The judges aren't going to be able to hear these cases because the government's shut down. Or you're going to accept this. play hardball with the Democrats. Get it past the filibuster. But the bottom line here is that despite what you're hearing in the press right now, despite the nightmare scenarios and the wild claims, Donald Trump has not yet defied a court in this country. I know you're being told by the American media Donald Trump is defying courts. He's not. In the absolute worst case scenario, where Donald Trump did not honor a judge's order to not deport Venezuelans from this country, those individuals were already gone from the country. They were over Mexico, and he didn't turn the plane around. And you can say that's defying the judge's order, but the judge said don't deport them. They had already been deported. And by the way, there's Supreme Court precedent that when a president orders someone deported, it's not reviewable by judges. If it's done under the Alien Act from the 1700s that John Adams signed into law, there's court precedent on that. You may not like what he's doing, but you don't have to lie about it. But part of this as well is that they're catastrophizing everything. Everything about Donald Trump is being catastrophized. It's the worst thing ever. I mean, literally, this story at the New York Times, you talk about ultimate catastrophizing. The president's escalating conflict with federal courts is even more aggressive than what happened in countries like Hungary and Turkey, experts say. And who are the experts they rely on? Known activist progressives. Known activist progressives tell the New York Times it's worse than Hungary. It's the worst thing ever. No, it's not. But what's going to happen is that progressives are going to see the right's trust in the judiciary crumble. The left for the last several years has been waging a war against the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. They're about to see the right ignore the legitimacy of federal courts at the district level. They're playing a very dangerous game here. In many cases, these are progressive judges who are stretching the law to try to stop Donald Trump. And the response from the media, which also told you there was nothing wrong with Joe Biden, is to claim it's actually Donald Trump who's stretching things too far. No, it's not. It's these progressive judges. And when they find out that nobody trusts the judiciary anymore, it's going to be them who are to blame, but they won't care because it's all about their power. It becomes games of power, not games of law, and it discredits the whole system. Now, the whole system is also being discredited economically with what's going on out there. Gold prices are soaring. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years, and they've been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from this war, you need to listen for the free report, the Rated A Plus by the Better Business Bureau. Swiss America can educate you on protecting your assets. In their report, The Secret War on Cash, it takes less than 15 minutes to read, and it can save your retirement and finances. You can get a completely free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency. The government's figuring out how to track your crypto purchases, too. So read The Secret War on Cash. Takes less than 15 minutes. It's completely free. Just mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. The report is free from Swiss America. Just call or text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
251 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. New crash in Forest Park down in Clayton County. Left lane 75 southbound, Forest Parkway exit 237. That's slow in the ride out of Hateville downtown. Brake lights filling in 75-85 northbound from Langford Parkway up into Midtown. Southbound delays jammed out of Buckhead with that left lane construction. Should be clearing soon on the ramp to 85 south. Traffic brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off. And for UPS shipping, add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Buying a new car? Need help fixing your current car? What's the safest car for a first-time buyer? The Car Guys have the answer. Join Shelley Winter and automotive expert Kevin Deutsch this and every Saturday at 12 for all your car needs. The Car Guys, presented by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Listeners, friends, family, neighbors, heck, even coworkers are asking me about QC Kinetics treatment. Hey, it's Mark Arum. No joke. Coworker the other day asked me about QC Kinetics. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. Well, if you're wondering if you're a good candidate, let's see if you answer yes to any of these questions. First question, is your quality of life impacted by chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints? Next, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain? And most importantly, do you miss doing the things you love because joint pain is holding you back? If you answer yes to any of those questions, I bet you're a great candidate with my friends at QC Kinetics. Call QC Kinetics right now. Ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can get you lasting pain relief, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Call 770-285-8026. That's 770-285-8026, 770-285-8026.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
But he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, it is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, well, it's too late because we're almost out of time. But don't forget, if you're in Georgia, text ENGAGE to 33777. Call Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, his office. They may not be answering the phones. Fill up their voicemail. Do whatever you have to do to reach out to Burt Jones and tell him to support killing the speed cameras. Not the compromise, but just kill the cameras. Now, I gotta play you some audio here. One of the most unhealthy things about the left right now is how they're catastrophizing everything. They can't just be normal. Everything's got to be alarmist. Chris Hayes on MSNBC, an example of it.
But again, it just, when you are paying as close attention as we are here on this program, here at the network, and I think a lot of you watching at home, it just does seem that now is the time to break glass, right? That it's not the time for politics as usual.
I mean, to break the glass. And this is a conversation on CNN about the Democrats coming back to power.
So what if they win back the House by a narrow margin in 2026? Who cares? So much is going to be done in the interim. The party will be sort of out to lunch. There's so many agencies dismantled and so much damage done to America's reputation and possibly the economy that, oh, great, you won the House. I don't think Donald Trump cares.
I certainly don't care. I think Donald Trump needs to move full steam ahead. What all of these people forget is how popular Donald Trump is. In fact, the latest polling shows he's the most popular he's ever been. 49 to 52% of Americans support him. The majority of Americans believe that DOGE needs to continue its work to cut the government. But to Democrats, it's all a disaster. To Democrats, it's a break glass moment. To Democrats, it's a threat to democracy. It's not a threat to democracy. It's a threat to them. It's a threat to their power. Democrats are threatened by Donald Trump because he's gutting a federal bureaucracy that has leaned progressive and has, when Republicans are in charge of the government, dragged their feet, dug in their heels, and obstructed the president of the United States. But contrary to what you may think, the bureaucracy does not work for the people of the United States. The bureaucracy works for the president of the United States. The president of the United States is the embodiment of the executive branch of government. He is the executive power. You may not like that, but that is actually Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1, Sentence 1 of the United States Constitution. The executive power is invested in the President of the United States. So if you're a bureaucrat and you don't like what he's doing, go on and leave. You're upsetting the constitutional balance, not Donald Trump. This isn't a break glass moment. We had an election. The Democrats lost. They just don't like to lose, and they catastrophize it every time they do. They need to touch some grass and grow up.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
March is the end of the cycle where you can make a change, or if you have an older family member who is on Medicare, that you can make a change in your Medicare Advantage plan. And most people that are in an Advantage plan just renew with whoever they're with each year, not being aware that this year there's tumult with Medicare Advantage. A lot of the providers available on a Medicare Advantage plan, if you look at the new list, people you used are gone. A lot of the benefits you got with your Medicare Advantage plan, they're gone too. So this year, more important than in prior years, for you to reshop who you're getting your Medicare Advantage plan from. And if you're approaching the age where you're going to join Medicare, my advice on Advantage plans, just say no. Stay in traditional Medicare. It's much better. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It's a nail-biter under the Gold Dome by the slimmest of margins. WSB's Jonathan O'Brien reports live. The